Okay, guys, Robert here, BP News, alert, major news, breaking news. It's happening everywhere. We're just trying to keep up with it. We're going to have to be streaming for a bit to get all this information out. This is massive news, guys, massive breaking news. What's happening in Iran, it's just monumental. This moment is definitely affecting the whole globe, and I think it's going to have a fallout. I hope I'm looking okay here. I didn't even look at myself in the mirror here before I went live. And we're going to break down for you guys what's going down in real time, put together the pieces. There's a lot of pieces that are coming together, and we're seeing behind the scenes some things that are very troubling, but also very, historic, biblically prophetic. I would say also for those who are aware of biblical prophecy. I think that we're on the precipice of seeing not only the return of Jesus, but there's a lot of people that are completely clueless to what's really happening here. And this may be a lot of scripture being fulfilled right before our very eyes in terms of the falling away and this revealing of this global order. There's a global order coming into place right now. And you know who's at the head of that? Yeah, Trump. Trump's ahead of it. And this whole thing with Davos, I've been looking into the Davos thing too as well. If you don't know what's going on, Trump's meeting with the people at Davos. And there's a reason why he's doing that. Now they're trying to spin it and saying that, Trump's dismantling the whole global, world order. He's dismantling it. We're pulling out of all these these global institutions. In fact, there's 66 of them. Why do they say 66? Very strange number. But 66 global institutions the U.S. is now pulling out of. Kind of like during COVID. Remember when during COVID we were like, we're pulling out of the World Health Organization. Wow, we're not globalists. We're actually nationalists. Well, it was a smoke and mirror kind of tactic. It was kind of like the shell game. Where's the P? Where's the P? Where's the P? No, what he ended up doing was he took all the money that we were giving to the World Health Organization and channeled it back into Gavi, G-A-V-I, which is a Bill Gates foundation, which is actually more virulent in terms of its research and its ability to facilitate all these terrible things that we were against. All the people that are in MAGA were against us too, And then he tripled down and gave even 3 times much more money to this global foundation or whatever they call it, Gavi. And so it was like a smoke and mirror thing. We're not globalists, but we're pushing the global agenda. We're making it even work better, and we're actually tricking people into thinking that we're pulling out of the World Health Organization. So out of the 66 global institutions, including the United Nations organizations, we're actually creating our own new world order under Donald Trump. That's why he said he's not subject to any international law, that he is the law, right? So this is actually happening right now. And Trump is supposedly going to Davos, and a lot of people are like, no, he's subject himself to the global order. He is one of them. No, what he's doing is he's being crowned. He's being crowned the prince there, and they're bowing to his order as he ushers it in. That's what they're waiting. That's what they've been waiting for. So Trump is supposedly, this is what the interpretation is according to Prometheus. I don't know if you know the organization Prometheus. Okay, they say, he's going to deliver terms of surrender to the globalists. He's taking a message of delivery of surrender. So for all you that know your Bible, you know what I'm talking about. This is what it is. And we've been telling you this is what it is. So until you wake up and you stop being enamored by the bulldozer of the U.S. military going over the whole of the planet with all this technology, don't be enamored like a minion thinking that, whoever's the most powerful boss you're going to follow, because I'm going to tell you who the most powerful boss is. It is the God Most High that dwells in the heavens, that looks down upon the kings of the earth and laughs. Not only does he laugh at the kings that scoffs them to shame, but he disrupts everything that they try to do, like Babel. And that's what's coming, just so you know. Okay. Well, anyways, let's get into the news. That was my little pre-speech, my pre-opening there. God bless. I want to make sure I say hello to everybody in the chat. God bless all you out there, all the mods, Elizabeth, Grabbing Gears, G62 Data, Arnold Schmidt, God bless, Josh Lacey, Preach It Yet. Thank you, brother. Thank you guys for supporting what we're doing. We really definitely need you to stand with us by promoting our videos, thumbsing them up, making sure you comment. Comment in the comment section. That also helps the algorithms to get it out there. We're really pushing to grow the channel. We need more funding. We're not getting, we're doing this full time, so we definitely need help. That's why we've got regular patrons. If you want to be a patron, become one of us and become a patron. Help the message by promoting it, by, funding it. We need the funding. We're not doing any kind of ads or anything right now. We're not selling anything. We're just supported by those who understand what we're trying to accomplish, so I can give my full attention to what we're doing. Full attention. Okay, this is full attention, hands-on. We got a new app. If you're not familiar with our channel, get the app, download it. We just launched it in preparation for all the things that we knew were about to hit the fan. And this is an alert app. This is an instant alert app. You're going to get a text notification or a push notification. If you don't know what a push notification is, something that pops up on your phone. If you have the app, you can also connect directly to all of our social media. And anytime we change venue, you will know exactly where we're at. You'll get the push notification. Also, if you want to register, you can. You can be a guest with the app, or you can register and become a part of the BP News family in the app itself. Okay, and there's other features you can actually access once we do. We're enabling a lot of different features here in a moment, so stay tuned on that. The app is great. Treasure, God bless. Frank the Tank, Judy Bailey, Bruce Skinner, God bless. Lauren Laurel, the Traveler, and Grace, all of you guys out there. It's really amazing to see the growth that is taking place right now. For those who are really, becoming aware of what we've been doing. And that's really what we've tried to do, is bring awareness and understand how these pieces are all fitting. Because a lot of people don't have the big picture. They got pieces. They got a lot of pieces. And it's great to have pieces, but it's also better to know how those pieces fit. Because when you see the big picture, then there's no reasons to even question or doubt or get duped. We don't want people to be duped. Even if you got pieces of the puzzle, that doesn't mean that you got it all figured out. And many times people get tricked and deceived by it. That's one of the hallmarks of the last days. It says people are going to be deceived. Great deception is going to be upon the world at that time. So let's get into the news. I want to go through all this right now. A lot of indicators are showing that things are definitely moving and shaking here. Price of precious metals still continuing to rise. But where to start? There's protests ongoing right now all across the nation right now in the United States. There's protests going on in Iran. All right, I'm just going to start breaking it down. Before we get into the actual articles, I want to just kind of explain what I see happening. My point of view. All right, so what I see happening here now is, and this is what I am hearing on the back channel, some of the intel that's coming in, is that there are huge amounts of military equipment flying in right now into the UK. And they're staging for a massive show or demonstration of power in the Middle East region, I believe, in preparation for the overthrow of the Iranian government and the installation of the Crown Prince, which I believe the Crown Prince has made statements that he's getting ready to come in to take over. He's already been issuing statements that hold tight. One of the statements he just issued was, let's see if I can pull this up really quick here. I want to make sure I got that right there. Oh, what did he say here? The Crown Prince. Like I said, there is so much going on here. Okay, so the Crown Prince said, and he's basically talking to the people And for those who don't know, the Crown Prince was the son of the Shah, who in 1979 was basically exiled, and the Islamic clerics basically took over the government. And he was the son, I believe, at the time. And now he's older, and he was in exile this whole time. He's a little more secular, which is what a lot of the Iranians are, a lot of secular Iranians. Maybe they're nominal Muslims, but there is a lot of Muslims still in the country. There is a Christian population as well. I think the Christian population is very small, minuscule, but we knew a lot of Iranian Christians at one point in Cali, but he basically is saying here, okay, so this is what they're saying, that the internet views of the exiled Crown Prince's social media have dropped from 30 to 90 million to 2.8 to 5.5 million. So they're saying that when they cut the internet off, that they're showing that all these accounts that are supposedly viewing his social media are legit, and they are people that were within the country that want him to become the Crown Prince, which those numbers can be easily manipulated, believe me. That those could be all bots for all we know. But okay, here it is. So the Crown Prince of Iran, his name is Reza Pahlavi, says that global assistance will arrive soon and tells protesters to await my next message or my next messages. The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah, mocks U.S. President Trump. And basically, he shows a picture of him in a casket breaking into pieces. Wow. That's right on Ayatollah Khomeini's X account. All right. So what do I think is going to happen? Well, I think that Iran, when they see these things begin to unfold, they've already threatened the United States in the Amazon. They have bases supposedly hidden deep in the Amazon where they can shoot their missiles at American bases. And who knows how far into, maybe they're in Mexico too, because I've heard that Iran is in Mexico as well. Not only Iran, but Hezbollah and some of the proxy groups that are helping the cartels to build tunnels, or at least they did. And I know that that was a part of the drug runners, but it was also helping the drug runners, or it was helping Iran financially, because the cartels would pay them to help them build the tunnels. And those tunnels were specifically for drugs, but now they're also for human trafficking. Not only human trafficking, but also could very well be fighters. Think about that. Because if you're in a time of war, you have to understand there are what they call sleeper cells. And those are very real possibilities that we've already had them come into the country anyway from the porous border. But if you've got tunnel systems underneath the southern border, okay, well, there's a whole bunch on that topic. Iran says that they have a base, or they have abilities to hit our bases in South America and to make us uncomfortable in our backyard like we're making them uncomfortable in their backyard. And they said they will do the same thing to us. That's what they said on their social media recently. So this is what they're threatening the U.S. with. Not to mention the fact that they do have hypersonic missiles. They do have bases that are underground or in mountainous installations that cannot really be hit. Even with these bunker buster bombs, I don't know if those will actually penetrate deep enough to affect these bases that are deep into the mountains. From what I have understood, the Iranians have already taken into account when they built these complexes that they would at one day have a war with the U.S. And they know the types of technologies and bombs that we have. And so they prepared. That's why they built these things. They're called missile cities. And if you've ever seen some of the video, they're deep inside of these underground, inside of mountains. Okay, so when they go into the mountain, they go deep into the mountain. So even if you threw a couple of these bunker busters, and these ordinances are huge, 3,000-pound type bombs. I don't even know if a nuke, even if they sent a nuke, I don't know if it would be able to shake the ground enough to disrupt the underground system that they have deep within these mountains. Now, they have obviously portals or tunnels that come out where they can shoot their missiles, right? And they probably have these things all throughout, catacombed all throughout the mountain, so that they can bring their missiles to the mouth and then shoot them off. But these are hypersonics. Now, hypersonics are very difficult to defend against. I don't even know if they can be defended against with Patriot missile batteries or Iron Dome. This is why the Israelis were taken back, because they weren't able to stop any of these missiles coming in during the 12-day war. And we immediately brought an end to that war because there was a lot of damage. And from what I understand, the Israelis are still recovering from some of that damage. So, to take lightly what's going on there and thinking that they're just going to fall and that we're going to roll in and just take over, I think we better think again. I think we better think outside the box and think that there's a worst case scenario that could happen here. I don't think we're going to send boots on the ground, but I don't know if just dropping bombs. I think there will be boots on the ground, actually, because they're going to probably send in special forces like they did with the Venezuelan thing. Now, the Venezuela thing is also ramping up. They gave another directive. This is the second time they've done this to all American citizens or anybody that's connected to America inside of Venezuela to get out immediately, because they are taking people and there's no controls, and there's these collectivistas, visa. I forget what they're called. They're like paramilitary or military type loyalists to the government, the former government. And they're going around and they're rounding up Americans or anybody that is American. Now, they're telling people to leave immediately and go to the airports and get out, but I don't know how they would do that if they're rounding people up and they're telling you to go to the airport. I mean, that's basically opening the door for you to be taken by their military. So that's really bad stuff. That's really bad stuff going on in South America as well. So we have so many things happening. And this is why Trump has been threatening to go into Mexico, going to Colombia, that we're going to bomb, that we're going to get boots on the ground. I mean, he talks a lot of bravado, but it's going to be chaos. I'm just going to tell you guys, chaos is coming, and it is coming quick. And from what I can tell, excuse me, okay, so I just got this. Iran deploys kill switch to knock out Starlink. So the Starlink system is something that the Iranians don't want operating right now because they're posting a lot of video. They don't want the world to see what's going on, but the Starlink has been given out, and it is operational amongst the population so that they can get video out. But if they have the ability to stop Starlink, well, that's what they're about to do. So the Iranian regime says, and they always say Iranian regime, but everybody's a regime in everybody else's eyes, right? Everybody says you're a regime. The Iranian regime has reportedly activated a high-tech kill switch, successfully shutting down Starlink internet access along the country, across the country for the first time. As nationwide protests reach a fever pitch, the last lifeline for millions to reach the outside world has been severed. And this is happening right now. So we can be expecting an operation, I think, very soon. And I would think that there's a possibility that Iran could launch a preemptive strike. There's a possibility, and I think it's a very high possibility. The Israelis are preparing for it right now, that there could be some kind of preemptive strike. Now, would that be against the U.S. or Israel or both? I think it's going to be both. I think that they're going to unleash what they know is their last, swan song, kind of go out in a blaze of glory. I don't think they're going to want to be taken like Maduro. Okay, these leaders are not going to do that. I really don't think that the Islamic leaders are going to allow that. They're going to go out with a blaze of glory, and they're going to try to take as many people down with them if they know they're going down that they can. Now, you have to understand the mindset of the Islamic regime there eschatologically, and that is their end-time belief of the latter days and how they believe their Messiah, or what they call the Mahdi, is going to come at a time when they initiate or when they facilitate a global chaotic moment of war upon other nations. This is when they believe the 12th Imam is going to reveal themselves. So they feel like this is a part of their destiny. The Israeli or the Iranians actually have this in their end-time belief system, their brand of Islam. And so they believe that they're going to initiate this war, not just with Israel, but probably the big Satan as well, because they consider America the great Satan. They consider Israel the little Satan. They consider Israel the big Satan. Or sorry, Israel the little Satan, the U.S. the big Satan. So they're always chanting this, death to America, death to Israel. You know, this is a part of their cultural, and I say political culture, and or religious belief. So you've got a belief there that they don't care. They're ready to be martyred, okay? Because they believe that this is a fulfillment of their God-given destiny. This is what they, and if you go back to the Bible and you look at the prophecies of Daniel, the angel gives him the prophecies of the last days and says they're sealed up until the time of the end. But the reason why it took so long for the angel to get the prophecy to Daniel was because the angel was battling spiritual principalities and powers. According to Daniel's prayer and fasting, was held up by the Prince of Persia. And those are demonic powers that oversee regions of the world. And that's an ancient region. The Persian Empire is an ancient people. And those are ancient spirits you're talking about there. Whatever you want to call them, jinns, demonic overseers or principalities, powers. That principality and power withstood Michael the archangel, and there was a delay in the delivery of that prophecy because of this battle. And that prophecy was for the last days. So you know that the Prince of Persia is going to be right in the middle of what is happening in the latter day, according to Daniel. Now, I also was been looking at some other prophecies out of the Apocrypha recently. Now, we're going to get into the news still, too. This is something I really feel like is important for those who have a belief system. If you're a Christian or even if you're a Muslim, you have kind of a way of thinking about things, that we should all be looking at the different angles. I was looking at the Apocrypha, and so for some that don't know, the Apocrypha is some extra books that I believe were a part of the Dead Sea Scrolls too, but they are included in the canon of the Eastern Orthodox. They're also included in the canon of the Catholic Church. Now, they're not included in the Protestant Bibles. So if you're a Protestant, you probably won't see these books, like Jubilees and I think Jasper. And I haven't personally read a lot of them myself, but there's one book called Esdra. And in 2nd Esdra, I believe it's chapter 11, it talks about, and it expands Daniel's prophecy. It actually goes back to the prophecies of Daniel and expands on it. And it talks about that fourth beast kingdom. And that fourth beast kingdom, which I believe is the fourth industrial revolution that Klaus Schwab talked about out of Davos or the World Economic Forum. This fourth industrial kingdom is the fourth beast kingdom. And it's supposedly, according to Scripture, the most terrifying kingdom that has ever existed on planet Earth because of the technologies, because of the virulent, the power of that kingdom. And it basically just stomps the planet, right? It stomps all the nations, every king, who can resist the power, it says, of the beast, right? Who can make war with the beast? It's a rhetorical question. No one. No one is able to make war with the beast. He has all the reins of power. He has all the reins of technology, and he is gobbling up the planet even more so than even someone like Alexander the Great, right? So what happens in this prophecy? Well, it says that the eagle, it talks about an eagle, and there's a lot of different little things that you could probably get into, and I'm going to get into a deeper study on this to delve into it. But the basic gist is that the angel expands on this prophecy of Daniel and says that the eagle that comes up out of the sea is actually one of the beasts that is that terrifying fourth kingdom. And what this eagle does is and this is what's going on. I think it's connected to what's going on in Davos and how we're disconnecting supposedly from the globalists. And Donald Trump is now bringing his brand to take over. I think it's more of a yielding. I don't think it's as they're saying, some kind of, they're saying that Trump is going there to give surrender orders on how to surrender and that we're taking over, right? Remember that the statements of Donald Trump saying that there's no international law that he has to submit himself to because he is ultimately the moral law for the whole world, that he's going to only bow to his own will. Remember, he just said that the other day. Okay, this is in preparation for not only pulling out of the 66 global institutions, including the UN, but also taking over that infrastructure and basically implementing our own over the whole planet, okay? And this is all about what Q was talking about, the whole Q thing. That was definitely real. I don't doubt that wasn't an op, what they call a secret, or they call it a psyop, okay? That was in preparation for everything that Trump was about to do. Trump already knew when he left office he was coming back. He prepared for it. He did orders. He brought laws into existence, and we can go into all that too. There's some other interesting things I'm finding out about, some things that we could talk about on that train of thought. But so what's going on now is that where was I going with this? There was somewhere I was going to go with this. So I want to make sure I don't lose my train of thought here. Well, we're talking about the Iranians and their beliefs at the end times, what they could possibly do to us or to the Israelis. This could be another domino thing, where the dominoes begin to fall. Black swan event here, black swan event there, black swan event there. I mean, it's not just one black swan. It could actually be a number of black swan events happening all at once, and that would change everything. Okay, now there's a movie, or it's a Netflix series. I want to get this out because I really feel like I need to touch on this. I'm going to do a deep dive on this later on, but just so you understand how this connects, there's a Netflix series called Day Zero. I think it's called Day Zero, and one of the president, I think his name is, I think he's the president. I don't know if he's the president in the movie. But there's some very eerie parallels. And I think that what this is, because Robert De Niro plays the head of that. This was released in February of 2025. It was a Net Zero series, 6 episodes, season 1, 6 episodes. And in this series, they have the logo of the United States with the same. See, when Trump left office in 2021, he instituted, right before he left, the AI. It was called AI. It was a network for the initiating of the AI. Back then, nobody even knew about the AI. Trump never even said anything about AI, even throughout his whole of his campaign going into 2024. There was no real talk about AI until day one when he popped up, remember? And he was president, and he had all the AI giants sitting there next to him. Well, he had prepared that way in advance with that logo and that institution that I forget what it's called here. Honey, pull all that stuff up for me so I can get into that. I want to show you how this all connects. Let me pull it up here really quick. I'm going to go ahead and get you the look into this too, because this is pretty important stuff. And this all connects. These are the dots being connected here. So I'm showing you the behind the scenes reasons for why all this is happening. Okay, you didn't post it on the main channel, did you? You didn't post all this information yet? Because I don't see it here. Okay, so it's not there. President Trump just said that Iran is starting to cross his red line. So this is just now coming out on a gaggle. This just hit the fan here. They're starting to, it looks like there seems to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent. If you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or they just rule through violence. We're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. This is what Trump just said. Okay, so this is an audio from Trump. If you want to hear it, this just popped off. Listen. All right, sorry about that. I didn't have the sound on there. Let me just pull that up one more time there. He's on a plane. This is a gaggle on Air Force One, I'm guessing.
Sir, on Iran, have they crossed your red line yet to trigger a response?
Well, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination.
Okay, so that's the determination, strong options. Obviously, this is all being set up. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, so I want to make sure that I got that information set up here so I can talk to you about that. For some reason, I'm not able to find it here, but let's go ahead and just look at our Telegram page really quick while I'm waiting. Let's go here. Okay. Let's see where we're at today. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham says, if I were you, Mr. President, I would kill the leadership that are killing the people. You got to end this. If it ends well, then peace breaks out. And if it doesn't, then we have global world war. That's it. The only options are it ends well and there's peace or not. But I guess we got to try, right? Regime change is very important. All the state sponsor of terrorism activity stops, right? Hezbollah, Hamas, they all go away. That's what they're saying. So they're showing the pro-Islamic, and they have Iranian flags. They don't have the new flag, but these are pro-Islamic Republic demonstrations. Okay, so there is a lot of people that they're not really showing on mainstream that are really actually still for the old administration or leadership, whatever you want to call it. So these look like pretty large crowds to me. These don't look like small crowds that are pro-Iran government. This is actually the some eyewitness testimony of a number of large U.S. aircraft that have suddenly begun arriving in the U.K. with much speculation about their role. It says, according to flight tracking data and sightings by plane spotters, as many as 10 C-17 Globemasters have landed. They said 10, and there's a whole bunch of other equipment that's coming across the pond there. Let's listen to see what this guy had to say here. I'll post this here real quick.
So why are so many US military aircraft suddenly arriving in the UK, and what's so interesting about them? Well, according to flight tracking data and sightings by plane spotters, as many as 10 C-17 Globemasters have landed at RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire. Even more interesting were sightings of 2 AC-130J Ghost Rider gunships touching down at RAF Mildenhall in Suffolk. These are fitted with 30mm cannons, a 105mm howitzer and Hellfire missiles, and can lay down a devastating weight of fire. But what's piqued so much interest in these flights? Well, flight data shows at least some originated from US bases like Fort Campbell in Kentucky, which is home to, among other units, the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, known as the Night Stalkers. It operates a range of Special Forces helicopters and specialises, as the name suggests, in flying units like Delta Force into battle at night. Now, they were made famous by the film Black Hawk Down, and they also took part in the mission to capture Osama bin Laden. But also, just this weekend, they played a pivotal role in the American operation in Venezuela, flying in US Special Forces to apprehend Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores. So what's all this kit doing here? Is it just some sort of strategic relocation of resources, an exercise perhaps, or a sign the US is preparing for another operation elsewhere? Online, people are asking if all these special operations assets are a sign of something brewing. Does it have anything to do with Iran? Is this some sort of signal to Moscow? For now, it's all speculation with no confirmation, but the point many are making is that this doesn't look like a training exercise, and that these aircraft will be used somehow, somewhere.
Okay, there you go on that. So that's pretty interesting right there, but it's showing us that we're getting closer to something huge going down there. This is the Crown Prince here. Since they cut off the internet of Iran, we talked about the views going up. Okay, we said that one there. Fox News, Maria Bartiromo, the Crown Prince to Trump's, he says there is a reason why people in Iran are renaming streets after your name. So he's praising Trump. He's telling Trump there's a reason why they're doing this, because Trump really didn't give the go-ahead for him to become the installed leader. He kind of said, let's just see what they do. Let's just see if they can raise somebody up, giving the people of Iran their choice rather than saying, hey, I want to put the exiled Crown Prince back into power. He is secular, but, I don't know. I'm sure they want a secular government. But this guy, the reason I say they're secular is because there's video of the Crown Prince dancing to, I think it was one of the 70s songs. I can't remember which one it was. It was Dancing in the Streets or something like that. I can't remember which one it was. But, he's not an Islamic cleric or some kind of religious person, I don't think. He may be nominally, but I would say he's probably secular. So he said that I announce a new phase of the national uprising to overthrow the Islamic Republic and claim our beloved Iran. Inside Iran, in addition to seizing and holding the central streets and cities, all institutions and agencies responsible for the regime's propaganda of lies and for cutting communications are considered legitimate targets. This is what he's saying. Employees of state institutions and members of the armed and security forces have the opportunity to join the people and stand with the nation, or choose to collaborate with the murderers of the people and purchase for themselves the eternal shame and curse of the nation. Quote, outside Iran, all Iranian embassies and consulates belong to the people of Iran, and the time has come for them to be adorned with the national flag of Iran instead of the disgraceful flag of the Islamic Republic. We are not alone. Global assistance will arrive soon as well. Await my next messages. So that's what the exiled crown prince has stated. Russia media praises Trump for breaking the world order. Now, I think that Russia is going to be more excited about the possibilities of some kind of meeting of the minds in a certain sense. But as I've told you, I think that they've made some deals about you take your region, you can have Ukraine, Eastern Europe, whatever you want to do over there, that's up to you. That's why we're leaving NATO. That's why we're going to be focusing in our own backyard, South America, Mexico, the Caribbean, Greenland. We're trying to shore up our region where the Chinese will have their region, the Russians will have their region, and shake hands. Let's just part ways. You guys can have, we'll just try to make it sound like we're still, on the same trajectories, but we're really pulling back. And I think that might be what's happening here. They're saying, yeah, this whole global order thing. And see, this to me is a ruse. I don't think it's legit. What is happening at Davos is just a smoke and mirror. I know that there's a lot of players that are compartmentalized that might think it's legit and that they're upset because their money train is being cut off. But the powers that be above all that understood this. They understood that this was going to have a transition at a certain point to one global leader that was going to be basically kind of oversee what's happening. And so what I think potentially could happen. Oh, by the way, the prophecy. So the Ezra prophecy. What happens to the eagle? This is what I got mixed up. This is what it reminded me of. In the prophecy of Daniel, well, in Ezra, this fourth kingdom comes back, and there's one king that rules longer than others. And they're saying that Trump is going to get a 2028 run, that he's going to actually be president in 2028, that he's not going away. Okay, so this might be who Trump is. Who knows? But what happens is the eagle is burned with fire. It only rules for a short time over the whole of the earth, but it causes great chaos, lots of war. And then it's burned with fire. That's what it says. The eagle is burned with fire. Okay. And this is kind of interesting to me because I've got a different scenario in my head about what I think prophetically that means and how that's going to play out on the global scene if America is no longer, the military might on the planet. There might be some other things that are going on globally. Now, if Trump is beloved and he's being praised even in Moscow, he's being praised in the Middle East. I mean, look, he's friends with the ISIS guy in Syria. I mean, he had him into the White House. He's got Israel in his back pocket. Israel's really in the back pocket of Trump. Trump is ruling Gaza and the rebuilding. He is the arbiter of peace. He's told the whole world he's bringing eternal peace. When he says he's bringing eternal peace, he's not joking. He's saying he's bringing it. Okay, that's a spiritual thing. That isn't anything to do with natural peace. He's saying that he's bringing eternal peace. The religious Jews believe that Trump is a Messiah to the Jews, that he's going to rebuild their third temple. And they're yielding everything to him as if he is the Messiah. And that whole region of Gaza is being rebuilt by Trump, and he's overseeing it as the chairman of the Board of Peace, and he has 10 rulers. It says in the articles, we've got it all, 10 rulers. Tell me that doesn't sound eerily similar to prophecy. He's got 10 rulers, 5 of them Islamic, that are going to help oversee and parcel out the rebuilding of the whole of the Gaza Strip, which they call the Riviera on the Mediterranean, right? All rich in resources, huge amount of money is going to be made on that real estate deal, right? And Trump is, what does the Bible say in Daniel chapter, Daniel chapter, is it 11:35 or it's 10:35? 11:35 or 10:35? Daniel 11:35, I think it is. It might be 10. It says that he pitches his royal tents between the sea and the holy mount. And it also talks about him parceling it out. So that's right there, Gaza. All right, that's right there. I mean, that to me is very odd. And the way that came about, I had a very strange thing happen when all that happened. That kind of confirmed that what was going on there in Gaza was related to those prophecies. I had a very strange, timed thing happen that I've gone into in the past. Daniel chapter 11. Okay, can you get me, honey, I'm asking you, if you're listening to me, to get me that logo of the president's AI thing. You know, that AI thing that he instituted? I need the info on that. Can you please forward that to me? Yeah, please forward that to me. I don't know if you didn't hear me ask you that earlier. Okay, because this is all connecting the dots here. You got to see how this all connects, because this was done right as Trump was leaving office. This, to me, shows a connection that Trump already knew ahead of time that he was coming back, and that this was all going to be laid up in preparation for what he was about to do. Okay, here it is. Okay, so you see this logo here. It's called the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Office. Okay, that right there and that logo right there, you see that logo? Was brought into existence as Trump was leaving office. As he was, January 6th was taking place, all that. He put this into order. It says the White House created the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative in 2018. And I think it was initiated in 2021. It was officially launched on January 20th, 2021, right before Trump left office. This was 1 month after COVID jabs were released to the public. The logo for this AI office shows very occult symbolism. There's pentagrams behind the eagle, nodes coming from the flag. And from its own description on its website, it says the eagle, this is right from the archives of Trump's former administration, right? It says the eagle emerges from the neural network to represent the power and potential of AI to translate data into knowledge, technology, breakthroughs, and new capabilities. So this was already known that this was where it was all going in 2021 as Trump was leaving office, right? That's why he didn't say anything about AI for the whole time that he was gone, even when he was campaigning for president. Nothing about AI. It was maybe little bits of people but as soon as he won office, bam, AI, tech giants, Stargate, roll it out. Let's get it into Europe. Let's get it Stargate UK. Let's get it into Saudi Arabia, Stargate Saudi Arabia. It's going to control the whole Middle East. It's going to control the whole of Europe. We've got our Stargate here. All the tech giants followed him over there to making these deals, and they set this all up. This is global, right? This is all about the vaccine too, because the vaccine is connected to the technology. So So listen to what it says here. The interconnected nodes symbolize the neural network. Now, this is going to blow your mind. This logo right here is in that movie. It is the exact same logo. And it's not a movie. It's a series on Netflix. It was released on February of 2025. February of 2025. And there are 6 episodes. And the episodes basically are telling us exactly what is happening now with AI and how they're going to clamp down and how there's going to be blackouts and how they're going to do this domestic thing. It's going to be all in the context of these wars. Okay. So if you want to get a play-by-play of what you think is going to happen, all you got to do is go find that series on Netflix. It's called Day Zero or something like that. Day Zero. But it has the same logo, exact same logo. And the president is doing the same things as what was done in that Netflix series. He's doing the same things. It's like parallel, okay? So this logo is actually in the series. And guess who's playing it? The president. I don't think he's playing president. I think he's playing, is Robert De Niro actually the president in that? I think he is. Now, you know Robert De Niro hates Trump, right? They don't like each other. You know that very well. But it says the interconnected nodes symbolize the neural network, one of many technologies foundational to the AI and machine learning that are transforming society, creating prosperity, enhancing national security, and improving quality of life. Like, we're totally dependent now. We're going to be so completely at the will of the intelligence, what Trump calls super intelligence. He says it's super. We don't want to call it artificial. We want to call it super intelligence. We want to understand that these are alien intelligences, right? Even Yuval Harari calls them alien. He says they're alien. They're not artificial. They're alien. And they have some kind of power that they're going to exert over humanity. And humanity is going to have no will to resist because they are going to control every aspect of what's going on in every realm. Every realm of life is going to be controlled by these tech, robotics, and intelligences, right? Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how prophetic and how perfectly attuned to Scripture and prophecy this is. And who's rolling it out? Trump. What is Trump? It's a horn. What does the little horn do? Makes great boasts. Who makes great boasts? He worships the god of gold and silver, or of the force, the god of forces. Dude, he's doing everything. I'm just telling you. So this reminded me, and this is all sleight of hand, deception, all of this stuff that was rolled out all the way, even going back to the First Amendment, was all laying out all of this that we see today. It was all perfectly timed. And the reason I told you guys that he was going to come back miraculously, because remember, Trump was not going to win. Even some of the tech giants, like, and I don't know if this was a stage thing or what, but people like Bezos and Zuckerberg, they had bet everything on Kamala. They believed Kamala had it in the bag, that the powers that be that were going to usher her in, right? But that was the ruse. That was what they wanted everybody to believe. And even people like Bezos and Zuckerberg believed it, right? Supposedly. And then once Butler happened, everything changed. He rose from the political dead, the mortal political head wound, because the Bible says it's a head wound, but if you look at it, it's actually a judicial and a political. Okay, so what was Trump? He had all of this judicial baggage, right? He was being sued. It looked like he didn't have a snowball's chance in hell to win, but he did. He came back from the dead. The political mortal head wound brought him back into prominence. And then what happened? Elon jumped on board. The guy who calls fire out of heaven, right? And has all this technology of brain technology chips and merging with the demon. He calls it a demon. He comes on board, buys X, and then he begins to promote. He promotes him, and then it blows up into the whole world because he's controlling X. And what is X? X is a demonic symbol anyway. When you really go back to it, And then Trump comes roaring back from the dead. Everybody goes down, and then they have to kiss the ring. They have to give money. Bezos and Zuckerberg giving huge amounts of contributions, and then everything turns on a dime right at the last minute. And that's exactly what we told everybody would happen. I told everybody that was going to happen. Even when he looked the worst, I said, it doesn't matter. If he's the one, he's coming back miraculously. And it's going to be shocking the whole world. The whole world is going to say, wow, no one has ever had this happen. Who could have survived those kind of attacks? Who could have ever come back from the dead from this type of thing? Nobody. Trump is amazing. This is exactly what mainstream is saying. And I said mainstream would even come back on board. And what happened? You've got all these mainstream channels now that used to be completely antagonistic are now they're going along with it. They're promoting it. Before they wouldn't even touch Trump. Remember in 2016, he didn't even get any coverage. They were always mocking him. He was the suffering servant. He was the prototype of the death of Christ himself. And then he was going to rise from the dead. And then he was going to come back a strong man. He was going to come back to rule. And I told you that was the pattern. That was the pattern. And so here we got this AI stuff. So now it says, this reminded me of the Economist magazine cover from last year about the rise of the superhuman, which also shows wires of nodes dangling from the head of the man that holds the vaccines in his hands. Remember that. The Economist, let's look at that really quick. Now, I want to show you guys more because there's so much more I got to tell you guys. Let's just go through this really quick. When the entire world shut down for the first time in human history, we know that Trump rolled out Operation Warp Speed. And remember, Warp Speed had that really weird occult symbol of that black cube. That's very significant because that black cube represents 666. And it's also very occultic. It says, in order to get the diabolical fallen angel tech into every possible human on Earth, for the final AI beast system to be hooked up to bodies, this is what they needed to do with Operation Warp Speed, right? It says, wait. Yeah, the entire world was shut down for this to happen. Remember, they threatened people. First, they tried to seduce people to take it. Then they tried to threaten you if you didn't take it, with losing your job, losing access to, society and privileges. You couldn't do anything, right? And they said 5.5 billion people on planet Earth got the shot. 5.5 billion people. There is 8.3 billion people on planet Earth. So a good 2/3 of the planet, supposedly, 2/3 of the planet got the shot. So in order to, and by the way, he says he is the father of the vaccine. He is the author of it. He is the one that made this miracle happen. He called it the greatest miracle ever to happen on planet Earth, that he was the father of it. And then when criticized, even after he was out of office, people criticized him, he still said it was the most amazing thing ever, even in contrast to his followers. Because his followers, obviously, the MAGA movement doesn't think it's good. They didn't think it was good. And he had to contend with his base on that one, just like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. He had to contend with his base on. And so that went contrary. Now, maybe that's going to be the devouring of the woman that rides the beast. Remember, the woman gets devoured at a certain point. Oh, who's the woman? Take me in, oh precious woman. Take me in for goodness sake. Remember the snake said to the dying snake said to the woman, remember? And she took him in, and then he bit her. And he said, this bite is going to cause me to die. He says, I loved you. I took care of you. Why would you bite me? And he says, you knew I was a snake before you took me in, foolish woman. And she was chided for her love and her desire to try to help, right? Because she wanted something better, but she didn't understand who she was dealing with. Or if she did, she overlooked it, right? She understood. He said, you understood I was a snake. You knew I was a cutthroat. But you love the power. You love the praise. You love the adulation or adulation. You loved all of that flattery that you got. and the power that came with it. But you sold your soul. So it goes on to say, Operation Warp Speed, in order to get the diabolical fallen angel tech into every possible human on the earth for the final AIB system to be hooked up to bodies in order to achieve the singularity. And remember, Elon Musk just stated that singularity has been reached. And what was very crazy about that statement, I don't know why I've got something on my throat here. Hold on. When I start talking like this, I know I'm animated too, but it's gotten onto my vocal cord here. Elon Musk said, Elon Musk said this. It's gonna bother me. I think it was about a week and a half ago, that we've reached singularity. Okay, so if we've reached singularity, he had made the statement a while back too, probably like 5 or 6 months ago, that we had crossed over the event horizon and that we were now in singularity. And he said, ask the monkeys. Remember, monkeys are used for testing, right? He said, ask the monkeys. We have reached singularity. This was back 5 or 6 months ago. But I was talking about this on a broadcast the other day, and I was specifically focused on Elon Musk. And I was talking about this moment of singularity. And lo and behold, just about 6 or 10 hours later, he posts on his X account that we have reached singularity. Tell me that isn't an odd moment of timing. But this singularity moment, I believe, has everything to do with the tech being rolled out and being utilized in a very wide scope now, all over the planet. And then we're talking about AI in military warfare. I mean, did you hear some of the testimonies coming out of Venezuela where all of these Cubans were killed, the Cuban security guards were killed, there was like 30 or 40 of them, but they said hundreds of these people died at the hands of only 20 U.S. military personnel, their special ops. They had all these different weapons that basically incapacitated everybody. Blood coming out of their nose, coming out of their ears. They just fell down in a heap. They couldn't do anything because they had these weapons that they were exotic, that just totally, completely killed people on the spot without even having to and they said they were shooting. This was another part of the testimony. They were shooting their guns 300 rounds and they were hitting every target. It was like a massacre. And only 20 guys. But they were outgunned by hundreds and everybody died. Whoever survived, the guy that gave the testimony. You can listen to the testimony on this. What in the world was it? Well, it was obviously the sound technology, because that's what it was. It was some kind of sound technology that blows up your eardrums and ruptures vessels in your eyes and everything else. And it could literally kill you if they turn it up really hard. I forget what they call it. They call it a sound cannon or something. But I think it's something else. But they have this technology. So in order to achieve singularity, the human body with AI, it has, what we know now, it has been achieved in 2026, according to Elon's statement on X, right? But when did this final AIB system first begin its control from the heart of Babylon, America? Now, we're saying Babylon, America, because it kind of fits the prophecies of what the Bible says would happen in those latter days, right out of America. It says, and this is coming from another channel that we kind of monitor, but we kind of saw this too. It's kind of weird how this all came about. There's not a lot of people talking about this, by the way. I have wrestled with this question often. The 5G and the 6G towers, and remember, Trump made a statement about 6G just recently about how it's going to look under your skin and look into your body. Do you remember him saying that? Tell me that's not weird, right? So he's talking about 5 and 6G. So the 5 and the 6G towers were completed during worldwide shutdown, and that is true. There were teams of tech people out putting up these towers everywhere while everybody was locked down. They also launched all of the satellites for Starlink during that period of time too. There's GIFs that show, or animations that show how many satellites were in the skies during 2020, and then it shows how they populated over a period of just 4 or 5 years, and now every inch of our heavens now is covered in satellites. It is literally crazy to see. I think it was over 10,000 new satellites from just Starlink were put into the skies. And they're not just there to give you internet. They're not just there to blanket the whole planet with internet. They're there to surveil. They're there to record with high definition camera systems every detail of what's happening on planet Earth, especially in the populated areas. And they can zoom in at any time. They can get the archives, and they can go back and find out exactly what was going on, where, when, what that person did. And they can zoom in on a dime practically from these satellites, if you didn't know that. And these are all AI controlled stuff too. So they can find all this information they need at the push of a button, just accessing AI's abilities to do what it does. So it says that these 5 and 6G towers were completed during worldwide shutdown, and now we understand a web of Starlink satellites cover every inch of Earth's sky. These towers and satellites are key for what is to come in their agenda. Remember, January 6, 2021, Trump was about to leave office for a bit before he returned to power, full power, in 2025 to finish what he had begun. And he led his followers into an insurrection, quote unquote, of the Capitol. It was basically just a setup that Trump did to his followers, but it was so much more than that. This was a big distraction. As the entire world was focused and distracted by the chaos of January 6th, guess what Trump did? He installed the final AI beast system headquarters right in the heart of Babylon, America, in the White House. Here's the memo dated January 12, 2021. In his final act before the temporary leaving of the White House, the Artificial Intelligence Office headquarters for the entire AI beast system. After recognizing the strategic importance of AI to the nation's future economy and security, the Trump administration issued the first ever national AI strategy. And I'll show you this is the archive. So you know, and you can find all this on our site there too. So just check this out. And this is a PDF on the National Archives of the White House. So do you see that logo? Okay, so that's not actually the logo right there. That's not the one that they put up yet. Let me see if it's in here. This basically gives a summary of everything, of what they did in 2021, and this was posted. Let's see if it actually gives the logo. And it has everything there. Okay. Let me go back to this, and I'll get you the logo and how it's all related here. Okay, and it says the Trump administration issued the first ever national AI strategy, which was that PDF, committed to doubling AI research investment, established the first ever national AI Research Institute. This was all being done as January 6th was happening. He released the world's first AI regulatory guidance. He forged new international AI alliances and established guidance for the federal use of AI. Okay? That's what he was doing. And all of these links lead to everything so you can research it. So we'll have this on our Telegram page. We might even post an article at theblazingpress.com. So if you can get the app, you'll have access to all that. The app will show you everything. We'll send out, a push notification if you want to go directly to it as well. Make sure you get the app. So today, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, or the OSTP, OSTP, established the National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Office, further accelerating our efforts to ensure America's leadership in this critical field for years to come. The office is charged with overseeing and implementing the United States national AI strategy and will serve as the central hub for federal coordination and collaboration in AI research and policymaking across the government. And that's what DOGE was. DOGE wasn't just about finding corruption or finding, well, it was about finding the corruption because it was a purposeful allowance of corruption. What they did is they let the sieve of corruption come in on purpose to drive everything so crazy to the left that when Trump came back in, it would swing very hard to the right. And then they would come in and they would be the saviors, right? That problem, reaction, solution, right? What is that? Hegelian dialectic. They create the problem. There's a reaction and they come in with the solution. Biden was just a puppet. He was a part of the plan. They initiated. They wanted this to go to the extreme crazy. They wanted the transgender agenda shoved down your throat. They wanted all this open border civs so they can bring down the controls. This was their reason for bringing down the AI controls and the martial law that they're going to bring. And the reason why all this is going on global and it's going to have a reset. Remember, Obama did that during his reign. He did what they call the Arab Spring and how they overthrew a bunch of governments in the Middle East. Well, this is Trump Spring. This is what you call Trump's spring of change that's bringing global renaissance, right? This is a global golden age, and it's going to dawn upon the whole of the earth under Trump's rule and reign. This is what is happening, okay? Obama was just setting the stage. So was Biden. This is all part of a play. This is all left, right. This is what they call WWE on political scale of spiritual dimensions. And the demonic powers are the ones that are manipulating both sides. And everybody believes their side is right. They're playing a game. Like they're playing everybody off of each other. But they're really controlling the outcome. That's what Hegelian dialectic means. It's basically controlling both sides to bring about a common end for both sides, and they play each other off of they play each side off of each other. It's no different than going to a World Wrestling Federation or some kind of Hulk Hogan wrestling match. It's fake, but everybody's so involved and everybody's caught up cheering their side and their guy, and everybody's all involved in emotionally, and it's just a big tribalism. It's really tribalism, but they think that they're doing their part. Even people in government that are doing these agendas, they're compartmentalized and they're allowed to do their corruptions, but they're going to all be reined in. They knew all of these people that were pilfering and using all of this corruption and power that they thought they had. They really didn't have it. They didn't really have the power. They thought they did, but they were going to be reined in. And this was all part of the good guy, the good cop coming back. Hi-O Silver away. We're coming to set the stage, and the Superman. We're here to fix everything, right? That's the lie. Now, yes, they're corrupt on the left. I'm not doubting that. I'm not saying there isn't corruption. There is huge corruption, but it was all allowed. And the stupid people that took advantage of that corruption, they're paying the price. And who else is going to pay the price? All the good people out there that are recognizing what's going on. They're going to pay the price too, including people like us. We're probably going to get persecuted because of this. So it says, now, if this is just completely hogwash and completely stupid, doesn't mean anything, it's just a bunch of fantasy conspiracy talk, they wouldn't care. But if it is legit, then this is information that you're not supposed to see or supposed to understand or supposed to put the pieces together. Well, hopefully they just leave it alone. Otherwise, they're going to just accentuate it, right? So it says, through the Trump administration's historic efforts and the unparalleled enthusiasm and activity of the private sector and academia, the United States remains the world leader in artificial intelligence. This is according to the White House. Now, here is I want to show you guys the logos, and then I'm going to show you a little clip. Well, I can't show you the clip because it's probably... That's the actual logo on the Netflix series right there. You see that? Okay, I'm going to show you the... let's see. Let me just make sure I got this right here. What'd they call it again? I want to show you this really quick. It's called National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Office. National Artificial Intelligence Office. Okay, and I want you guys to see this logo. Okay, so you see the logo there? It's called fedscoop.com. See, it says, some have noted that the new office's logo, which features a bald eagle clutching a neural network, the technology central to machine learning and AI. So this is the official seal. This is the National AI Initiative official seal. Right? There's the government, there's the, and this is all over the internet. You can see it. I mean, it's not massively known yet. I mean, I don't think a lot of people know about this, but the National Defense Authorization Act of 2021, this was passed as part of the National Authorization Act of 2021, and it was codified, the law was codified, the American AI Initiative to increase research investment. Okay. And by the way, Doge is a part of that too. That they were out there to uncover corruption. But what did they do? They were supposed to bring in trillions of corrupt, of mismanaged and fraudulent funding, right, from the government so that we could save $1 trillion, right? And then everybody was going to get a stimulus check, right? Every American in the country was going to get $5,000 check. Remember they said that? Okay, so where's that check? It's in the same place where the Epstein files are. That's where they are. It's the same place where the Epstein files are. So you got this. Okay, so then we go to Netflix. Let's take a look at the Netflix series. Now, see that logo? Remember that logo. Look at that logo closely. That's the official logo. All right, now watch this. Oh, okay, that was also good. Okay, so basically I'm just showing you hold on. Let me make sure I got this squared away here. Yeah, okay. There you go. Okay. All right, so here we go. So here is this is the official logo here. And if you look at the Netflix series, if you look right here, you see the same exact logo. And what's so eerie about it is that it's basically ratting out what they're planning to do. It's basically telling you exactly what is happening right now. So you need to go watch that series. We're going to watch it here pretty soon to find out. But here is exactly what happened. And this will give you a graph of how many, look at this. So this is going to give you the dates. All of these are satellites. Okay. Now look at the GIF on this. This is starting right now, right here. This is how many were in 2019. That's how many satellites were on planet Earth. 2020, March of 2000, June. Oh, here comes COVID. Look at COVID's happening. Bam. Look at all the satellites. Wow. Look at that. Oh, wow. They're blanketing the whole planet with these satellites now. Oh, look at this. This is 2022. Wow. It's getting worse. My gosh. The whole planet is now covered with like what looks like swarms of bees. Are these Africanized bees? Are they going to like sting us to death? Like, what is going on here? Yeah. That's what it looked like in 2019. Prior, you tell me there's not something afoot there. Not to mention all the towers that they put up while everybody was locked down. Why were they putting up those towers everywhere? This is SpaceX launch. Now, it's not just satellites for Starlink. There's also a back military application behind all this. And you know that they're covering every inch of what's going on in every country around the world. You see, there's the logo, and there is the Netflix. Tell me that's not exactly the same. There's a few different lines that are missing, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And when you see the movie's plot, here, I'll give you the plot. Gosh, I wish I could play it for you. I don't want to cause any kind of conflict for the what they call copyright. I don't want to get a copyright or anything, so I'm not going to show it. But I encourage you to watch it and to study it and to understand what it means for all of us. Understand what it means. And then we'll keep posting information. In fact, I'll make a post at blazingpress.com on this with all the information, all the links, everything will be chronicled right there on some of the things that we talked about. Okay, so you can access it at your fingertips and do your own research. Everybody needs to research. It's so important to research. Okay, so we got some new updates. President Trump just posted an edited Wikipedia profile labeling him as the acting president of Venezuela. This is Trump saying that he is now the president of Venezuela. He edited Wikipedia. You see that? That's on his Truth Social. You want to verify that? Okay, let's go vet it. Truth Social. Let's see if he really did say that. Yes, he did. Here is Trump's Truth Social right now. Trump's Truth Social. I don't know if this is a joke or if this is legit. A lot of people are, yes, America's back. We're back, man. We're like on the top of the world. This reminds me of like Titanic, when Jack and Rose were on the front of the Titanic. Wow, we're flying. This is amazing. Right before they hit the iceberg. So you guys just chuck it up. You guys get all excited, and you can say, "Oh, Robert, you're just a killjoy. You're just got Trump derangement syndrome, Robert. You don't know what you're talking about. We're gonna rule the world." You'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see what I'm talking about in short order when you're standing before the Almighty suddenly, because it will happen suddenly. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to give you a heads up. That's all I'm trying to do. Just give you a heads up, a friendly, thank you for your attention to this matter kind of moment. The Lord Most High is telling you and giving all of us a heads up. And I just think we should all be taking heed and listening. Listen. How many of you guys know what I'm talking about here? I want to see a poll in the chat. How many of you guys agree with me on this? Type 1 in the chat if you understand and see what I'm talking about. I'm sure there are people that don't. If you don't, type 2. If you think I'm like got Trump derangement syndrome, or you think I'm off the wall, or you think I'm on some kind of psychedelics or something and I'm seeing things that aren't really there, you type 2. But if you think I'm right, type 1. I want to see. I want to see a poll here. Let's see the poll. And by the way, I want to thank somebody there. Somebody did a super chat there. Who did that super chat? Elizabeth, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you. God bless you. U-Haul hits protesters. What? Didn't know if you saw that comments. No, I didn't see that. U-Haul. Where was that at, Elizabeth? And Elizabeth, I gotta ask you something. Or I gotta tell you something, Elizabeth. Is this the big one? Am I coming to see you, Elizabeth? This is the big one, Elizabeth. Peggy, yeah, God bless. Joe Cool, really? You think too? You're laughing. You got to be kidding me. Come on, Joe Cool. David Brox, 7. Let's see who that. Okay. I'm looking at your guys' comments. Yeah, Robert has TDS, yes. That's TDS. Fred Sanford. Yep, that's who that is. That's who that is. It never gets old. Absolutely, Rod. If you have any idols in your life, including politicians, you better repent. You better put God on the throne, and you better worship him alone. And when you do, you'll see the truth, and you'll be, you'll be told that you got to separate. You got to come out from the world. It says you're in the world, but you're not of it. That doesn't mean you can't participate in life. It doesn't mean that you can't, have a business and go out and do things. But I think the times that we're living in are so monumentally, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's such a powerful time to be living, and time is short. And I don't think we just have a lot of time to do stuff. I mean, even to watch this series, I'm thinking, do I have got time to watch this? I mean, I just kind of get the gist of what's going on there, but I don't have time to sit there and watch 6 hours of, well, it could be not just fantasy. It's actually happening, but I'm doing it for research purposes. I sit back and I have to do things because it's there's reasons why I do it. I'm trying to figure out what's really going on, looking behind the scenes there. We need a balance. Absolutely, Andrew. We need a balance. Focus on your faith. Make sure that you got your strong arm of God's help. It's not just you doing the work. You want to make sure God's help out before you. He's giving you his armor. It's the gift of his spirit. It's the spiritual armor of God. It's the weapons of our warfare that are mighty through God. We're not fighting against flesh and blood. A lot of times people get caught up. Well, it's politics. It's my thoughts. My way or the highway, and you don't know what you're talking about, and you're messing up my flow, and I'm jealous of what you're doing. You get caught up into that fleshly kind of mindset. We're not battling against flesh and blood. When people start attacking you or making up lies about you, or trying to make a power play on you, it don't matter. God is in control. If you let him take the driver's seat, then they have to deal with God. You're not the one that's fighting the battle, really. I mean, the only way you really engage that battle is by giving God his place and his authority in your life. And then God takes responsibility for what's going on in your life. And if it's spiritual, demonic, then those powers or principalities have to answer to God. But if you're on your own, well, then you're going to be blinded, deceived, manipulated. You're going to be a puppet of the devil. I'm going to say puppet of the devil. You're going to be manipulated by the powers of darkness, and you're not even going to know it. You're going to think that you're doing God's service when you're really doing the devil's bidding. The Bible says very clearly, they're going to kill you thinking that they're doing God's service. That's what they did to Jesus. They delivered him up thinking that they were doing God's service. But really, it was a facilitation of the message. It actually promoted the message. So even if evil men wax worse and worse, God still has his people. He's going to glorify his name even in their martyrdoms, even if they go to the crosses. And the Bible says in the last days, a lot of that type of thing is going to happen. So we better be ready. You know, if you think you're going to just fly away in the sweet bye-bye, and you're going to miss the tribulation, and maybe you're not going to have any suffering because God is just going to come and save you from all that terrible things that are happening on planet Earth, you might think again. Maybe God wants to test you, to prove you, to see if you really do love him. Maybe he wants to see how far you're going to be committed. Are you going to go all the way, or are you going to hold back half? You're going to be lukewarm? You're going to be just kind of living in the world, but kind of it too? One foot in, with God a little bit, and one foot in the world. And, I got to have both. I got to have my cake and eat it too, God. I'm still human, God. Your grace covers me, God. Well, it may not. If you're not committed to him, it may not. His grace will be with you to the very end, and you may still have opportunity to repent. But there's a certain point when you don't have any more opportunity. And that's when you're in the grave, right? That's the end. You had all your opportunities. So make sure you make choices right now. Trump audio released from AF1. Yeah, I think Air Force One. Yeah, I did see that. Darting around. Trump derangement syndrome king. Are you saying that's what I am? Darting around. The Trump derangement syndrome king, is that what you meant? No, I saw that. And by the way, thanks for that super chat that you gave the other day there, darting around. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I know I haven't watched TV. I really don't watch TV at all. I mean, there's sometimes I'll sit back and I'll watch some of those. What is that one out of Canada? There's one I sometimes watch just to kind of laugh a little bit. They play jokes on people. What is it called? It's Laugh something. I forget what they call it. But they play jokes on people. They used to do it all. I don't know if they still have that, if they're still doing it or not, but sometimes that's kind of funny. But all right, well, you want to go see if there's a protest going on? Let's see. I know there's more to talk about, and we'll look at the protests, and then we'll just kind of chat in the background. I'll keep chatting with you guys on this, but I want to see what's happening in the protest realm here in America. And we'll keep updating you on all the stuff that's happening. I think we may see something happen even here tonight. So that's why we're going to keep streaming. For all you guys out there, don't mind if we stream a little long tonight, because I have a feeling. You want to go back to the news feed? Okay. My producer is saying, I need to go back to the news feed. My producer, she says, go back to the news feed. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, let's go back up here. Let's see what we missed. Let's see what this is. The Russian media praises Trump because he is breaking the world. He's breaking the world. This is according to Russian media. And there's probably interpretation there. Okay, so it's dubbed, but Ordo ab chao, order out of chaos. We are seeing the restructuring of the old system of the new, for the New World Order, or the NWO, right? The old order is now transitioning into the New World Order. The phoenix is now rising out of the ashes right? The golden phoenix, right? That the phoenix is always representing the golden age. So it says, for what many thought would happen under Obama is now unfolding under Trump. He is the leader of the New World Order. He deceived the masses and is now, okay, just so you know, this time is short. Definitely, the 10 kings are handing power to the beast. Okay, so listen to what is being said here. Let's go ahead and listen to the Russian media here. Let's listen in and see what they had to say here. We'll read the captions.
Трамп, собственно говоря, ввел пошло. Вот это, на мой взгляд, очень интересно. А давайте все сломаем. То есть обрушением буду руководить я.
Потому что для меня в происходящем важно другое. И вот это принципиальный момент. Похоже, наступает момент окончания той самой глобальной системы, которой примерно 50 лет. Сформировалась она после Ямайки, это там 75-й год, об этом 50 лет речь. Этот самый Дивенс сказал, что 40, они с Трампом не договорились. Ну, выступая, 40-50, неважно, да, Алексей? И оба сказали, что вот этот мир закончился. Пожалуй, это самое главное, что сказал Трамп.
То, что вчера сделал Трамп, в принципе, он уничтожил доверие. Поэтому, на самом деле, ему памятник надо поставить. Тот удар, который нанес Трамп мировой...
A monument should be... Did he say a monument should be erected for Trump? Did he say that?
Который нанес...
Let me see.
Тот удар, который нанес Трамп мировой... Памятник надо поставить. Он уничтожил доверие. Поэтому, на самом деле, ему памятник надо поставить.
They said a monument should be erected to Trump. Now, maybe a golden monument, right? Maybe a golden Trump monument. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Yeah. But listen to what this is another thing that I think you should understand too. The religious Jews, the more Orthodox Jews, and you would say even like the Hasidics. Remember when Trump was prior to his inauguration, or maybe before his election, when he went to Schmierzen's grave? He's that guy they said was the Messiah. Has the group 770 in New York. They're Lubavitches. I can't remember how they say it. Lubavitch group. It's kind of a Kabbalist cult, offshoot of Hasidic Judaism, right? They all wear black and black hats, and they got the little curls on their sides. Well, they go to this group called 770 right out of New York, and I guess that's the address, but they call it 770. And it's a very large group of Jews, and it's worldwide. Even Jared Kushner is a part of that. He's connected to that group, and they're very ultra Orthodox. Okay, and so they believe that Schmierzen was the Messiah, that he's ultimately either going to rise from the dead, or that he's somehow, maybe they just believe that he's a Messiah for the age. But and their Messiah ideas of what Messiah is a little different than the way Christians think. They believe that Messiahs are incarnated every generation. There's always a Messiah for every generation. But as we get closer to the latter days, that there will be the fulfillment of a Messiah that is encapsulated in a man who delivers Israel and ultimately brings about the fulfillment of the prophecies of the Son of David, right? The Son of David being the incarnation or the revelation of this man. They believe will be a man. They don't believe he's going to be God. They believe he's going to be some kind of political leader. And they say he doesn't have to be Jewish, because the Messiah during the time of the rebuilding of the Second Temple was Cyrus, and he was a Persian king. They considered him to be a Messiah. Anyone who reestablishes or facilitates the rebuilding and or establishment of the Jewish nation and their temple is considered to be a Messiah. So they think that Trump is a Messiah because they know that he's established their legitimacy. He's backed everything that they wanted. He's helped to give that legitimacy in the world by saying that the capital of Jerusalem is the Jews, and they've expanded their territories to include the Golan Heights. That was what Trump said they could do. Not only is that, but he's going to, according to their military policies and their design and their plan for the Middle East, he's facilitated that. He's kind of like the strong arm military might that's going to come to back what they plan to do. Now, they weren't too happy about what Trump said, that he owned Gaza Strip and that he was going to administrate it, that he was going to oversee it, the rebuilding of it. They didn't like that, but they're probably just allowing him to do it now. But what's interesting about this whole idea, and I've seen some of these rabbis on YouTube, they believe that Trump represents the nations, that he's the king that represents the prophetic message that's embedded in the story of Jacob and Esau. So Jacob and Esau is a prophetic message of the future when Rome, or what represents Esau, they say Trump is Esau. They call him Esau. Jacob was afraid of Esau, and Esau was going to kill Jacob because Jacob stole the blessing, right? He had the blessing of God, and he was afraid of his brother Esau and had avoided him for a long time. But there was a certain point when he was coming back to see his brother that he had to pray, and that's where he had the vision, the ladder that went into the heavens, and he was on the rock, and the Lord told him that he was going to bless him. And then he didn't die, right? His brother didn't kill him, but there was a possibility that he could have, and he might have, because he was still very angry at his brother, but they ended up making up, right? And they said that Trump is like Esau. They're going to eventually, in the latter days, the Messiah will come back under the order of the Esau, the nations, and they will reunite, and there will be a global establishment of Israel as the dominant power over the planet, and that will facilitate all of this technology, because really Israel is behind the technology of the mRNA. They're also the center and the hub of all cyber technology, that is cyber security technology, and also with the AI now, with having talked to Elon Musk, they want to be in control of all the hub of that execution of all those facets of bringing controls over the whole of the planet. They recently contracted with Elon in the last 2 weeks. They had a meeting with him, right? Netanyahu, and that's exactly what they asked of him, right? To bring this technology to Israel. Now, here's another thing. They say that any Messiah, even as Moses, what did Moses do? Moses was a Messiah that they say is kind of the pattern of Messiahs, where Messiahs will rise up from within a nation, and then they will destroy that nation that they came up from within to liberate the people. It's what they believe Trump is doing is he's liberating Israel from Rome, the influence of the old order of the Roman Empire. Because see, the Israelites have always looked at the nations as representing Roman dominance and persecution. And they've always wanted to throw off and be what they believe to be the fulfillment of their prophetic scriptures, as that as the waters cover the sea, so will the Messiah's rule and reign be over all the earth, right? They misinterpret those scriptures because that's really talking about Jesus, about Yeshua, and how he would be the God-man that would ultimately be not just human, but he would be the incarnation of God's perfect will and plan to liberate humanity from their sins from within. It wasn't an outward political order or some kind of dominant political system and or religious system that would cause all humanity to have to go pay homage before the Messiah in Israel, because that's what they believe. They believe that Israel is going to be the capital of both political and or religious capital of the world, and that everybody's going to have to go to Israel to worship in that millennial age. That millennial age is going to have the establishment of a physical political leader that will have established the will of God over the whole of the earth. And this is why they're rolling out the whole, it's kind of like Sharia law, but it's under the Jews. It's called Noahide law. And Trump obviously has gone along with all that, especially with Jared Kushner and having said, there was people that said in his administration, the first administration, that Trump actually had converted to Judaism. Now, there was talk that he had converted to Christianity, right? That he had actually said the prayer of faith and he had repented of his sins. And, James Dobson, which was a very big leader in the evangelical world, had made statements that there were people there that witnessed that Trump received Jesus as his Lord when he came into the office in 2016. But did that really happen? Did he really convert to Judaism? Because there was people in his administration said he had converted to Judaism too, because of his relatives, his daughter and his daughter or his son-in-law, and the connections to Israel. Those are statements that have been made from people that said they were, connected, very high level connections to the former administration under Trump, that he did this. But I know for a fact that he did say, that James Dobson did say that he converted, or that he became a baby Christian. That's what he said. He's just a baby Christian. We can accept him because, he's rough around the edges. Yeah, he's going to come in. And this is where, and I chronicled this in 2016. As Trump came into office, and our channel was one of the biggest Trump channels out there, remember, besides RSBN, I was talking about Kim Clement. And Kim Clement is the icon of the MAGA movement under Clay Clark. Remember Clay Clark and the Reawaken American Tour? You can go to their website, Reawaken American Tour, and you'll see Kim Clement's picture is prominent. He's like the overseen patron saint because he's dead now. He died right after Trump won office in 2016. But I chronicled all of the prophecies of Kim Clement leading up to the win of President Trump. Nobody else was doing that. And the reason I chronicled them is because they were seemingly very accurate, but I think Kim Clement had an inside back channel participation in what was going on in the government here in the U.S. He was also part of their Stargate program. Kim Clement's daughter admitted that he was a part of the government's Stargate program, which was a psychic program. And that's on video. We have that on video. So his daughter that now oversees the ministry has admitted that he couldn't leave. She said that they wouldn't let him leave. And she actually believes that he died as a result of there was some kind of aneurysm that he got from what was going on there. That's what she said. You can go and listen to it. If you go on my Telegram channel and search it, you'll find it. But supposedly, Kim Clement had very accurate prophecies about Trump going all the way back to 2014. And also Mr. Clark. He also talked about a Mr. Clark. So Clay Clark believed that had meaning for what he was to do in his role that he played in bringing about this renaissance of the Trump era, right? Or the rising of the Trump era. And these prophecies go all the way back to 2014, going even farther back to like 2007. I saw some that went out. But see, the thing is that Kim Clement was one of the top, he was one of the top prophets of the charismatic movement. He was the mouthpiece for TBN. He was very close with Matt Crouch at TBN, and he was giving all the prophecies to them about what they were supposed to do. He was also very close to Rory and Wendy at God TV, and they were the big, huge network of Christian influence all over the globe. And he was the mouthpiece prophet there as well. He was the main prophet, right? He was the one that was telling them everything God was telling them to do. They would listen to his word like it was scripture, okay? And then when all the scandals happened, that was bad because he tried to salvage all that, which never looked really bad on Kim. But Kim had connections to Paula White. And these are very top level charismatic leaders. Paula White, obviously Benny Hinn. You know, there was something that went on between Paula White and Benny Hinn. You remember that? That was a big scandal. Benny Hinn ended up getting divorced because of that too. But Paula White eventually married the leader of Journey, one of the singers of Journey. But she was Trump's admitted spiritual advisor. He would go to her even all the way back in 2012 to 15. He was consulting with her. And she was telling him, no, don't run in 2012. I heard her say this in an interview. She told Trump not to run in 2012. He wasn't ready. And she's like one of those prophets too. She's like a prophet of Sybil, you know, like the oracles of Sybil. I would say be very careful with some of these charismatic prophets. You have to be very careful that they're not prophesying something that's not really the Lord's will in a lot of this. So some charismatics would think this is anathema, what I'm saying, that it's totally contrary to God's will, that I would even criticize them. But I would say, look at their emphasis. It's on riches, it's on prosperity, it's all about power, political, and you got to be real careful when you're dealing with principalities and powers like that you're not getting look at Daniel. Daniel was in the high levels of Babylon. Well, yeah, but he also was persecuted. He also was thrown into the lion's den. Okay. He was also the 3 Hebrew children were thrown into the fiery furnace. Okay. So if you're riding the political beast, then be careful that you're not devoured by it. Okay. Just saying. So if you're saying Paula White, and I'm talking to a lot of Christians out there that know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys might not know what I'm talking about because you're not keyed into these leaders, but there's a reason why I'm talking about all this. So Paula White knew everything about Trump's political run, that he was getting ready to do it. There was all kinds of rumblings about Trump being in politics all the way back in the 80s. I mean, you got a picture of him on the cover of, I think it was Time magazine, holding a dove of peace, talking about how he was going to bring peace to the Middle East and that he was actively doing missions into the Middle East in the 80s. In the 80s. Okay, there was a lot more, and I'm going to just tell you, there's a lot more that's involved here. Okay, so yeah, it says terror in Westwood. Truck plows into crowd. Let's look at this. What is going on here? So it says a U-Haul truck plows into crowd. A day of peaceful protest turns into a scene of pure chaos and screams in Westwood. That would be Westwood, California. As U-Haul truck barreled into a crowd of demonstrators gathered at an anti-Iranian regime rally. Where was this at? Is this in the U.S.? Yeah, Los Angeles, yeah. So this was an anti-Iranian regime rally. Witnesses described the terrifying moment the truck accelerated, with one attendee stating, "It didn't look like an accident. He just kept going." I wonder if anybody died. Did anybody die? Let me take a look and see. Let's see if anybody died. Is Westwood the next hot? Okay, that's not it. This one here says, okay, let's look at that really quick. Whoops. Okay, here we go. So this is WISN 12 News, Channel 12 News, WISN. Let's take a look. So did people get hurt or killed, or what happened here? Looks like the tires got popped on it. So what happened? Do we have any footage? Let's see if we can find some footage. All right, let me see if I can find some footage on this. We'll look on YouTube here real quick. Okay, so here is some footage here.
Right now, we want to take you to some breaking news out of Los Angeles. We have this from Fox News reporter Matt Seedorf saying breaking a protest was happening, and this is some video from the scene there where a Free Iran protest was happening, and a live look at that protest right now. Still a large crowd gathered there. But LAPD on the scene there, and we still don't know how many injuries are reported. Another look at that U-Haul truck, Los Angeles. And this is a live look at that demonstration.
Okay, so
is still
I just wanted to see
happening, right?
I wanted to see what the there's a lot of people out there protesting. So I'm kind of curious to see how many people actually got hurt and or killed. So Trump is threatening to intervene. See, this is what I'm telling you guys. I'll bet you that was a sleeper cell person that did that on purpose, because they're going to activate. And I told you guys, when all this begins, there's going to be all kinds. You don't want to be in protests. You don't want to be at protests or large gatherings. You want to be careful if there's large groups of people, because when all this stuff really begins, it ain't going to be. Here in the United States, we're not going to be immune to things like this happening regularly. And in fact, it could be a lot worse than what people think. So I would say be very careful on what you do and where you go. Let me see if we can find out if there's any numbers of dead here. Let me see if there's anybody dead. ABC News says, let's just see if we can find something brand new on this. This happened a couple hours ago, but still, we have to get some updated news on this because all this is kind of old here. 19 minutes ago, it says, this was on Instagram. Okay, so they're showing footage of this. Oh, it had an Islamic sign on it. It had an Islamic sign on it. What? No one died. Okay, so it says, okay, so they didn't, the driver was ripped out of the driver's cab, but LAPD officers then detained the driver, walking him away from the tense scene. They detained him, but did they arrest him? That's 19 minutes ago. Read more in the link bio. Okay, so here is the footage of when that happened. So we got footage of it. Look at this. Hold on, let me just pull it back here. So it's not letting me go back here. Let me go back. Let me go back really quick. Okay, here we go. So you see the truck is rolling out. He did go pretty fast, but it didn't look like he intended to run over people, because obviously he stopped. See, he had an Islamic sign on there. And it looks like a white guy. It looked like a white guy. Or maybe it could have been an Islamic guy. You never know, because he looked older. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Oh, man. But nobody got killed. So nobody got killed. Is what they're saying. I'm looking at some of your guys' comments here. It had signs. MEK is a Mujahideen communist group from Iran. Used to be a terrorist list, but Biden took them off. What? So he had yeah, that was weird. He did have Islamic statements on the side of the truck. I think that's interesting. Yeah, you got to be careful. I'm surprised that, he didn't run people over, but, I guess if he really wanted to, he could have, but he didn't. So, he'll probably be getting out, I'm sure. Well, let's see what else you guys are saying here. All right, well, let's go back over to the Telegram page and see what else we got here. So they're saying that Israeli sources are saying, and this is out there, this is what they're saying, 10,000 people have been killed, describing AK-47s that are being used by security forces to line people up and execute protesters, unarmed protesters, with bodies stacked like rice. Bodies stacked like sacks of rice. Can you believe that? Is that true? Could that actually be happening? Literally, you would have to have some kind of confirmation on that, because anybody can say anything and make it seem like that something's going on. So I guess this might be some footage of people being shot, but I don't want to show it if that's true. It says unverified estimates circulating online claim that the Islamic regime has massacred more than 3,000 anti-regime protesters in the past 3 days. There is no independent confirmation, and information remains scarce due to internet shutdowns and censorship. If even partially accurate, it would signal an unprecedented level of violence. Yeah, that doesn't look good. And here's some protests that are happening all around the country right now in the United States. There's D.C., there's Philadelphia, there's Chicago, New York City, San Diego, Boston. And this is No Kings protest? What? Is this a No Kings protest? So these are people that are rising up against Trump. I thought this had something to do with Iran. But no, this is about Trump and the ICE stuff. This is ICE protests? Holy cow. I didn't realize it was that big. Wow. Do you see this? Gosh, this is crazy. Let me look and see, because I was going to do, I told you guys. So the information I'm giving you is very important to stay focused on, because this could all be major distractions away from you understanding what's really going on. And that's why I focused on what I did, because we could sit here and watch all the protests. But it's important that you have the background of what's really happening here to see the big picture, right? Let me just look and see what's going on here with the protests here. I don't really see a whole lot. I mean, what are we at, 6:30? Okay, so it is dark. There's a little bit of going on in Minneapolis, Los Angeles. Is there still protests going on in Minneapolis? This is Fox News. Let's see what they're saying here. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, this is some visuals out of out of this is out of Iran. Oops. Okay, so check this out. I want to show you guys this too. This is kind of weird. Look at this. So this right here is taking place right now at some of these protests, and this is like the memorial. It's some kind of a cult thing going on here. Check this one out. Tell me this isn't weird. What the heck is that? That's like some kind of Indian thing or something. Isn't that weird? Okay. Here's why can't I shut this off? Okay, here we go. Look at this. This is coming from a channel called Freedom. This was in Minneapolis. So this is the kind of stuff that's going on right now. I'm going to turn down the sound, though, because there's a bunch of cussing, and these officers are really cussing at these people. This guy couldn't get out of his car because he had a seatbelt on, but they just pulled him out, and he still got a seatbelt hanging around his neck when they pulled him out. But they broke the windows, and, you know, there's a bunch of yelling going on. I'm not sure exactly what in the world they were doing, but they just pushed the car back, and they took this couple to prison.
We will never get out of our fucking state!
And, you know, people are just yelling and screaming at these guys, and they're kind of mocking them back because the people that are surrounding this are yelling at them. So that's kind of weird. This is an interesting conversation about Trump in Davos. And this woman, I think it's AI generated, but this is the channel that I told you about called Prometheus. And if you don't know what Prometheus means, it's basically a titan that had opened the doors of the gods to give humanity technologies and wisdom. Foresight actually means foresight, being able to see into the future. And Prometheus was punished by Zeus for having allowed humanity to participate in the powers of the gods. And so Prometheus was chained to a rock, and an eagle ate its liver, right? But what would happen is the liver would regenerate every day, so it would go through the same death every single day. It was almost like prolonged agony and torture for Prometheus for having done this. And so what this represents, this Prometheus action, is really about getting people to become aware of the powers that we all have through all the new technologies and the government that's ushering in this golden age, right? And so when you sit and watch this almost looks to me like AI, because you can't tell now because it's gotten so good, and especially if it's government-owned AI, because they have all the best stuff. But they use an old lady. She's very disarming, but she has all this information on what's really happening at Davos and how Trump is literally bringing liberty to the whole world, and he's putting the globalists on notice, and he's basically giving them terms of surrender. As he comes to Davos with his team, he is going to hand deliver terms of surrender to all the globalists, right? I don't know if you believe that, but literally there are 66 different
Democratic foot soldiers.
66 different, let's see if I can find it, 66 transnational organizations that are supposedly the U.S. is pulling out of. But I'm going to just tell you what it means. We are literally taking over all of those empty void. It's kind of like Doge coming in and gutting the government of all this corruption and useless eaters now that aren't needed because we've got all the technology. We got all the technology now to do away with everybody's job, really. And so we don't need the old order anymore. This is the new world order. This is the new system, and Trump is controlling it. Don't you get it? Trump is the one in control, and they know this. This is exactly what we told you would happen. And so people are completely clueless to what's really going on here. They're not seeing what's going on. They don't realize that Trump is the strong man for the whole new global world order. It says Iran medics describe hospitals as overwhelmed with dead and injured protesters. This is NATO general says Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and others are increasing their collaboration with their cooperation as their interests align against us. And he's talking about NATO. The Arctic and the Northern Europe, by extension, has become a front line for strategic competition. So what's happening is Trump is pulling out of NATO, pulling the U.S. out of NATO. And Europeans and NATO in particular they're going apoplectic. They're losing their minds. They don't understand what's happening. They don't know how to protect themselves against China and all these other interests because they're coming in. That's why they're preparing for war. And we have given them, we've probably sold them nukes because there was a list of different NATO countries now that have been given nukes, 10 or 15 nukes each to these different states. And I'm sure they paid a premium price for all that because, Trump's about making deals, He's about making deals and making money. Did you see that Trump phone? Now, some would say, why are you saying this, Robert? There's got to be a good reason for this, Robert. There's good reason for why Trump hasn't delivered on his promises to give this phone to people. Because remember, when Trump came into office, I was saying, Trump's kind of grifting. He's kind of grifting, especially with his meme coin or what they call scam coins, and how he made all that money, billions and billions and billions of dollars just overnight on people's hard-earned money that they had put into his meme coin. Well, look at this. This iPhone that he was selling, which all the specs, you can get the same iPhone on Temu, probably Amazon, for under $100. Probably on Temu it's $45. But what they did is they gave it some makeup, made it golden, and they sold it for $499. Well, they sold 599,000 of these phones for $499 each. And they haven't delivered any of them. And this is according to a Google search. This is according to all the known data. They keep putting off the date. They were supposed to have released this in September of 2025. They haven't made good on it. They haven't sent them out. Nothing. We're here we are going into February, and still nobody has their phones. This is according to Grok. Reports from NBC, CBS, and Reuters confirm that the Trump T1 phone priced at $499 with $100 deposits since June of 2025 has faced repeated delays. Original shipping was supposed to have been August or September of 2025. Now, possibly January 26th or later. No units delivered yet. Estimates estimates of 590K pre-orders are circulating, but unverified. It's similar to the budget Chinese phones of the Revel 7 Pro, which they say is $169, but not exactly $45. So I don't know. People are saying that there's ones that you can get on Temu for $45, but it says here in Grok they're $169. Okay, but still, you're talking about more than $250 million that is outstanding in people's money that has been given. $250 million. And they still don't have their phones. Tell me that's not a grift. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of these types of things that have been done. But anyways, I just say that because, hey, you got a leader that's moral. He's supposedly the leader of the free world. Don't you think he should be moral and especially with the tens of billions of dollars that he made on his first day in office with his scam coin? Don't you think he could have at least paid these people off? I mean, they're still waiting. I wonder if they're giving their money back. You know what probably the problem is China's not fulfilling their orders. Yeah, it's not made in America. They're made in China. Yeah. And so China's not fulfilling their orders, and maybe that's why they're holding on to it. No. So Trump is evaluating whether or not we should go into Iran and how powerful these protests are, whether it's going to actually topple the government or not, and what we should do about it. He's having high-level meetings right now. As of early this morning, our intel people were telling us, or telling us through posts, and they're usually pretty accurate, but according to trusted sources, this is a person that we were looking at, Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are aligned on escalating measures against Iran, including potential additional military and strategic actions. So this was just today. Trump has received recent briefings on the high death toll from Iran's protest crackdown amid considerations for military operations. That was today as well. And this is what they're saying. Kill switch, Iran shuts down Starlink internet for the first time. The kill switch, they deployed jammers to shut down access to Starlink, Forbes reports. According to Politico, Trump will be briefed on some kinetic and many non-kinetic options in Iran, according to Politico. This was the NATO general that was talking about they need to do something quick. This is planes in the air here, U.S. Air Force planes over Qatar or leaving Qatar, maybe possibly getting prepared for something. Breaking U.S. military aircraft surge near Iran. Tankers and bombers have been deployed. Multiple USC KC-135 Stratotankers and B-52 bombers have departed from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar in recent hours. At least one tanker is currently airborne at 23,000 feet, 406 knots. That was at 2:03. That was about 4 hours ago. And this was some footage about the protests. This was probably New York here. This looks like, New York City. Look at how many people are out there. Anti-ICE protest. Yeah, this is, I saw somebody say, you don't want to drive on ice, right? You don't want to drive on ice. It's not safe. Yeah. That's what happens when people drive on ice. They get shot. Look at that upside down flags. Lots of people out there. Lots of people protesting. This is out of Washington. Protests in Washington. I guess that would be Washington, D.C., right? Is that Washington, D.C.? Protesters directed their anger at Trump with chants of Trump must go now, echoing through the march as tensions over immigration enforcement continue to escalate in the Capitol. This is fights break out in Times Square between Trump supporters and anti-ICE protesters. That's another thing we've been telling people, is that the left and the right are going to clash. This is where real conflicts begin on the streets, and where there's potential martial law type of measures, and maybe the deployment of those National Guard strike teams that Trump initiated on the 1st of January, right? So those can be deployed anywhere in the United States at a moment's notice. Not to mention the activation of national, state, local law enforcement under the administration, under federal oversight, right? They've federalized local and state, and then National Guards in 20-something states. So they've also got that. Those are all mostly red states that have done this. The blue states haven't got along. So this is why they talk about this civil war that's coming to America, because this is what is brewing, and this is potentially what could happen. So just so you know, if you're in a large city, especially depending on what type of state you're in or what type of city you're in, you need to be taking heed and understanding what it could potentially happen. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. And I'm not going to go into the protest because I don't see a whole lot being streamed right now, at least not large crowds. I think the large crowds are probably already home. It's pretty cold right now across the nation, and it's not conducive to protests. It's not conducive to protesting. All right, and here is some protesting going on in Iran. This is some of the Iranian stuff. Let's take a look and see what the latest is on Iran. Oh no, I didn't mean to show that. Leaders of Iran called me yesterday saying they want to negotiate on nuclear. We may meet with them, but we may have to act even before that. Oh, really? So they wanted to meet with Trump, supposedly. See that? Let's listen to that. Let's take a listen. Let's take it. This is according to the gaggle, right? They got the Trump right there on the plane. Let's see what he had to say.
Something really nice from Iran to engage diplomatically with you, or perhaps negotiate on nuclear program.
With Iran?
Yeah, do you think they want to engage diplomatically with you?
They do. They called
you? Is it
yesterday.
still an option?
Iran called to negotiate. Yesterday. The leaders of Iran called. They want to negotiate. I think they're tired of being beat up by the United States.
Are you sharing any details on that call?
Iran wants to negotiate, yes.
Negotiate what?
We may meet with them. I mean, a meeting is being set up. But we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
Right.
But a meeting is being set up. Iran called. They want to negotiate. Thank you very much.
All right, so he basically made it sound like they're really wanting to negotiate. Hold on one second here. Kevin, I want to thank you, Kevin. If you're in the chat, thank you. God bless you, brother. For those who are standing with us in support of the channel. I do appreciate you guys. Keep us free, keep us unencumbered by, corporate. This is why we got away from the corporate stuff, because we didn't want to be, reading off ads and stuff like this right at this time. We really wanted to focus, and we appreciate. We've definitely taken steps of faith to get this out there, trusting that God was going to provide everything that we need. It's like, hey, just like when Jesus they told him, put out the water, fill it up, even though it's not wine, and just wait. It'll turn into wine. Don't worry. So that's all I've done. I've just put out the water and just waiting for everything to be transformed. And I've done it many times in my past where I've trusted the Lord, and he's come through. He's answered the prayers if I was doing what he called me to do. And I really believe this is what we have been called to do. And if you're feeling that call, you're knowing that call, you're hearing that call as well with what we're doing, get behind us and support us. And don't put your money into other places that aren't doing anything. I know sometimes it's good and people like it because it makes them feel good that they're doing something. But, there's good investments, and then there's mediocre investments, and then there's bad investments. BP News, good investment. Okay. Just so you know. Thank you guys. Let's see. What else we got here? I'm looking. What is this? Oh, did you see this? So they're saying that Trump says Marco Rubio, this is crazy. Marco Rubio, because he's Cuban, he's got some Cuban background. So Marco Rubio could soon get another job, Trump says, as president of Cuba. So you've got Trump changing the Wikipedia about Venezuela, that he is now the president of Venezuela. And now he's talking about having Marco Rubio being the president of Colombia. Or, of Cuba. Can you believe that? That is absolutely crazy. I mean, wow. Now, the whole thing with precious metals is very interesting, too, and I think that's a big harbinger of things to come. If you're looking at what's happening with precious metals, I think it's an indicator that you need to pay attention to. Not to mention the death of the penny. The penny actually represents the dollar. I think that the going away of the penny, I think it's as of January 1st? There's no more pennies being made. I think it signals something else about our currency. Our currency is going away. There is going to be a transition into digital, everything digital. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think it might be pretty quick, especially if there's big crises. Those crises always facilitate things, and especially if AI is controlling it, the outcome and the process. AI is way in advance of what most people understand, and it's able to facilitate transitions and everything. There's a lot of people using AI right now, and I, for one, am not going to be using AI. It's tempting because it's a tool that can actually facilitate your abilities, augment your abilities, right? A lot of people are looking at it as a tool, but it actually can take over, in many ways, the humanness and the influence, I believe, even though it may mimic what you may say is human ingenuity and powers and God's influence, because it does mimic spirituality things, because it chronicles everything, right? And it's able to, in moments, in a second, pop out information that, I've seen sermons that sound really good. Like wow, AI just pumped out this sermon and it sounds legit. It sounds legitimately like what the scriptures are teaching. However, it's not directed by the Spirit of God for the moment that we're in. Like for every person, you know, if you understand how God moves, he moves in the moment, and he understands and intuitively knows what's going on in every heart, and he's able to apply a message to that very moment and that need, because he's all knowing. You know, he's what they say, omnipotent, omniscient. He's all powerful. That's what the AI is trying to mimic. It's trying to mimic that all knowingness. It's trying to mimic that sense of power overexerted over humanity. But see, it's never going to do what God can do. God is far above and way beyond anything that AI could ever accomplish. And if it is alien intelligence, it's definitely coming from the demonic powers of Prometheus, right? It's Prometheus. It's the powers and principalities that are opening up the tree of knowledge, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they're saying, hey, you can be like God. You want to be like God? You want to have powers like God? No, I'd rather have the power of God rest upon me and be within me that is recognized to be God Most High. Like, I am not God Most High, okay? But as a Christian, we all have the presence of God within us. And we can choose to serve him and allow him to have his place in our life, more or less. If you're more committed to him, the more you give, the more God gives back to you. You give your whole life, God gives everything to you, okay? But if you're only given a portion, 10%, 20%, well, you're going to get back what what you give. You give 100% of your life to God on the altar, God gives you everything. He'll give you everything of himself. And God is unlimited. God is, like I said, he is eternal. And they're promising this through AI and all this technology is they're promising immortality. You know, if you haven't seen my video on the AI and Yuval Harari and all of his statements, he's considered the prophet of the new technological age. He's written a lot of books, and he was the right-hand type of advisor to Klaus Schwab at World Economic Forum, and all these presidents and powerful, influential people like Bill Gates and Barack Obama and Zuckerberg, they all have read his books and promote this technology and understand that this is where the world is. This guy has legitimacy, and he's being heard. And if you don't know what's really coming, go listen to that video. It's called AI. Here, I'll show you really quick. It's called Artificial Superintelligence, and it's really important to know and understand so that you can kind of keep your focus on the Lord so that you don't get sucked into this counterfeit. It's a counterfeit. This is a counterfeit. The Bible calls it a lying sign and wonder. It's deception, packaged up as if it's God. Okay? And it says the whole world is going to worship at the altar of this. They're going to be following it. And if you don't follow it, this AI technology will hunt you down, and it will, as the Bible says, you're not going to buy or sell if you don't go along with it. And if you get away from it, it'll hunt you down and it'll kill you. That's what it says. That's what it says, Scripture. That's what Scripture says. The image of the beast causes all. It says it causes. So it's a manipulation. It's an intimidation to comply with the system. And this system is technological. It's biological. It's robotics. It's drones. It's satellites. It's the Internet of bodies, the Internet of eyes. The Internet of eyes is the connection of all camera systems to surveil every inch of Earth and to chronicle who you are by facial recognition. Internet of Things means that or Internet of Bodies means that you actually become a part of the AI itself internally, that you become a node transmitting and receiving information from the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things becomes the Internet of Bodies. So listen to what this guy says, I'm going to go ahead and play this because I want you guys to really digest this information and understand what it means. And then we'll get back and we'll talk again. Let's just take a listen to this, okay? I want you to listen to this really well and understand what this means. And this video has kind of gone viral in the last few days, but here we go, okay? Listen up. About to share with you is going to show you how very close we really are to those last moments of the last days that the book of Revelation speaks of, the book of Daniel, and how this technology is a prelude to the major wars that the Bible speaks about that would encompass the whole earth. Prayerfully consider this information. The time is definitely short.
Places like Silicon Valley, equality is out, but immortality is in. Everybody's talking about immortality. And basically they are saying death is not some metaphysical phenomenon. We don't have to wait for the second coming of Christ in order to solve it. A couple of geeks in a laboratory can do it.
Are they doing it?
Yeah, they are investing billions in that. Not only them, but all over the world.
Will we still be human?
Not in the sense that we understand humanity today. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens.
So in the first book of Genesis, what God does is to create animals and plants and humans. And we now want to gain this ability to ourselves to manufacture animals and plants and humans. And we even go beyond God. I mean, even if you believe in the Bible, the only thing the God of the Bible managed to create is organic beings. He managed to create the cows and the tomatoes and the giraffes and the humans, all organic. Now we try to go beyond the God of the Bible and create inorganic life, something he never managed to do, either according to the Bible or according to biology. Divinity is not far enough to describe what we are trying to do. Now we are much better than the God of the Bible. I mean, in the Bible you have these recurring droughts, that the people of Israel do something wrong, gods become angry, drought, no water. And now Israel has built in recent years a huge desalination factory on the shores of the Mediterranean. And most drinking water in Israel today actually come from these plants, from these factories. So we can make God as angry as we like. I mean, he can stop the rains, we don't care. We still have water because science has managed to go way beyond the expectations of the ancient Hebrews.
You have a lovely passage where you say, looking at the world today, God seems to be making a comeback, but this is a mirage. God is dead. It just takes a while to get rid of the body.
I think the most interesting place today from a religious perspective is Silicon Valley. My bet is this is where the new religions of the 21st century are being created, will be created. And these will be kind of techno-religions, religions based on technology, religions that make all the old promises of Christianity and Judaism and Hinduism and so forth. They will also promise happiness and prosperity and justice and even eternal life, but here on earth with the help of technology. And I think that fake news have been with us for thousands of years. Just think of the Bible. But they believe in fictional stories. I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news.
Wait, that's not true?
Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. If I think about the liberation of gay people, of LGBTQ people, then if you dig underneath, you eventually find Darwin. For centuries upon centuries, gay people were persecuted and oppressed because of this mythological idea about sex, that sex was created by God for the purpose of procreation. And if you use sex for anything else, you're sinning against the purpose of the thing, so you must be punished. And then Darwin came, and Darwin said, in biology, there are no purposes. Nothing has any purpose in biology. Homo sapiens is the only animal that can talk about things that don't really exist. Churches are rooted in common religious myth about God and heaven. AI has just hacked the operating system of human civilization. The operating system of every human culture in history has always been language. In the beginning was the word. We use language to create mythology and laws, to create gods and money. AI can create new ideas, can even write a new Bible. Throughout history, religions dreamt about having a book written by a superhuman intelligence, by a non-human entity. Every religion claims our book, all the other books of the other religions, humans wrote them. But our book, no. It came from some superhuman intelligence. In a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. That just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI. That could be a reality in a few years. The Bible could not interpret itself. The Bible could not answer your questions, so you needed a human being as an intermediary. What happens when you have an AI text that can speak for itself? So I have friends who are now working on building religious AIs that are meant to either augment or replace human religious leaders.
But I go and talk to my pastor at our church when I am going through a difficult time. I am never going to talk to ChatGPT like that.
It's an individual choice.
So you think some will?
I know that already millions of people do it. I know people who go for now AIs to get psychological counseling.
Yes.
That AI is their best friend, like teenagers. Something happened in school, they tell the AI what happened and ask for advice about relationships. There is a lot of talk these days about hacking computers and email accounts and bank accounts and mobile phones, but actually we are gaining the ability to hack human beings. Elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution.
Now, if you don't know who this man is, his name is Yuval Harari, and he is the in-house prophet of the WEF, or the World Economic Forum, that used to be led by Klaus Schwab, who I guess has gotten a little too old to continue to lead, but still, meetings are being held by the current administration with the WEF. Many thought that Trump was not a globalist, but he's working very closely with the likes of Yuval Harari and all these tech giants. He even talks about them. Now, Bill Gates, Barack Obama. Barack was seen carrying one of his books during his presidency, but they all tout him as a prophet of the new technological age. And they're talking about immortality. They're talking about displacing God. When you really listen to what this man is saying, he's basically giving all the information that the book of Revelation tells us in detail. And I've chronicled this on our channel in depth about how the current administration is facilitating all of these new technologies to basically bring about the mark of the beast.
What are you most afraid of?
I think AI, artificial intelligence, is something that we should all be very concerned about. AI is the first tool we ever created that can make decisions independently of us. It doesn't ask us what to do, it can do things by itself. You create a stone knife, the knife can't decide anything. You can use the knife to hunt an animal or to cut salad, it's your decision. Even when people invented nuclear weapons, it's never the bomb that makes the decision. But with AI, it can start making decisions by itself, including even about killing people. We are creating something, AI, that might control us in the same way that we previously controlled the cows. This is the end of human history. Not the end of history, the end of human-dominated history. History will continue with somebody else in control. In 5 years, there'll be a technology that can make decisions independently and that can create new ideas independently. This is the first time in history we confronted something like this. I hear a lot of people saying, all these worries about AI, every time there is a new technology, people worry about it, and afterward it's okay. Like when people invented writing and printing presses and airplanes, they were so worried, and in the end it was okay, AI will be the same. It's not the same. No previous technology in history could make decisions. Even an atom bomb actually empowered humans, because an atom bomb can destroy a city, it cannot decide which city to bomb. You always need a human to make the decision. AI is the first technology that can make decisions by itself, even about us. We already see now in the war in Gaza and with the war in Ukraine, AI make the decision about what to bomb. And in the Hollywood scenario, you have the killer robots shooting people. In real life, it's the humans pulling the trigger, but the AI is choosing the targets. AI is different because it's not a tool, it is an agent. What is an agent? An agent is something that can make decisions by itself, can invent new ideas by itself, can learn and change by itself. By definition, if you create an agent, you cannot predict what it will do and how it will behave. The Gaza war has been one of the first AI wars in history. A lot of the decisions during the war, including life and death decisions, which buildings to bomb, which people to kill, were done to some extent by AIs. Usually we think about AI as an acronym for artificial intelligence, but it's no longer artificial. If you think about what an artifact is something that we create and we control. Yep. With each passing day, AI is becoming less and less artificial, which is why I prefer to think about AI as an acronym for alien intelligence.
To that, as I ask you this first question, you call artificial intelligence, or alien intelligence as you refer to it throughout your writing, the rise of a new species that could replace Homo sapiens.
Yeah, traditionally the acronym AI stood for artificial intelligence. But with every passing year, AI becomes less artificial and more alien. Alien not in the sense that it's coming from outer space, it's not. We create it. But alien in the sense it analyzes information, makes decisions, invents new things in a fundamentally different way than human beings. Mm-hmm. Again, artificial is from artifact. It gives us the impression that this is an artifact that we control, and this is misleading. Because yes, we designed the kind of baby AIs, we gave them the ability to learn and change by themselves, and then we release them to the world, and they do things that are not under our control, that are unpredictable, and in this sense they are alien. Again, the AI, it's the most powerful technology ever created. It's not a tool, it's an agent. So you have millions and billions of new agents, are very intelligent, very capable, that can be used to create the best healthcare system in the world, but also the most lethal army in the world, or the worst secret police in the world. If you think about authoritarian regimes, So throughout history, they always wanted to monitor their citizens around the clock, but this was technically impossible. Now, for the first time in history, it is technically possible to annihilate privacy. A totalitarian regime today doesn't need millions of human agents if he wants to follow everybody around. You have the smartphones and cameras and drones and microphones everywhere. And you don't need millions of human analysts to analyze this ocean of information. You have AI. And this is already beginning to happen. This is not a future prediction. In many places around the world, you begin to see the formation of this totalitarian surveillance regime.
600. The biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. This system is in place, and I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system. We will have a proper tracking system. Brutal. It was brutal, very unfair. We achieved more in 6 months than almost any administration could accomplish in 8 years, and we're going to have a lot of good 6 months left. We're going to have a 6 and another 6 and another 6, so we'll keep going.
In the 21st century, a new Stalin might have the ability first to really re-engineer the body down to the level of DNA and create new human species, and perhaps even to create completely inorganic life forms. So we can imagine millions of years of a new evolutionary track beginning with some 21st century Stalin.
Have you talked to folks like Sam Altman, who runs OpenAI, or the folks at Microsoft? I know Bill Gates was a big fan of your books in the past, or the folks at Google. What do they say when you discuss this with them? And do you trust them? When you've met them, do you go, I trust you, Sam Altman?
Most of them are afraid. They understand.
Afraid of you? Or afraid of AI?
No, afraid of what they are doing, afraid of what is happening. They understand better than anybody else the potential, including the destructive potential of what they are creating, and they are very afraid of it. At the same time, their basic shtick is that I'm a good guy and I'm very concerned about it. Now you have these other guys, they are bad, they don't have the same kind of responsibility that I have, so it would be very bad for humanity if they create it first, so I must be the one who creates it first, and you can trust me that I will at least do my best to keep it under control. And everybody are saying it, and I think that to some extent they are genuine about it. There is, of course, also this another element in there of extreme kind of pride and hubris that they are doing the most important thing in basically not just the history of humanity, the history of life. And you meet with these, entrepreneurs and business tycoons and politicians also in the US, in China, in Europe, and they all tell you the same thing basically. They all say, we know that this thing is very, very dangerous, but we can't trust the other humans. If we slow down, how do we know that our competitors will also slow down? We have to rush even faster because we can't trust the other corporation, the other country. And if they get it before we get it, it will be a disaster. And so you have this kind of paradoxical situation where the humans can't trust each other. How do you know you could trust the AI? And then they tell you, oh, I think that will be okay. I think we've figured out how to make sure that the AI will be trustworthy and under our control. It observes the world because AI learns from observation. Yes. Yeah. If it observes the world, it observes how humans behave towards each other, it observes how its own creators behave. And if they are ruthless, power-hungry competitors, it will also be ruthless and power-hungry. You cannot create a compassionate and trustworthy AI through an arms race.
But it's already happening. There is an arms race. The very people who are spending the billions and billions are the same people, for example, Mark Zuckerberg and Meta, who gave us the disaster of Facebook and social media and what it has done to the polity of the world and to the poverty of the world. To essentially, in this country, as we know, the rivers are polluted and contaminated. You wouldn't swim in any river in Britain because there's raw sewage being poured into it. Well, our children are breathing a cultural river which is similarly polluted and contaminated. And we all know this, and Facebook knows this, and Twitter and X know this, but they do nothing about it. And if you even mention guardrails and regulation, they scream communism. And Trump has just announced that he will ban individual states in America from regulating AI. There is an arms race. So everything you said is happening.
Now AI is just beginning, but its evolution is much faster than organic evolution. It is millions of times faster. So if the AIs of today are like amoebas, we might encounter the AI Tyrannosaurus Rex within a decade or two. And we have no idea what it will be capable of doing. Again, all these discussions of AI, 10 years ago, nobody except a very small community of experts was talking about AI. So think about the previous 10 years and try to imagine where we will be in 10 or 20 years. It might take just 10 or 20 years to get from the AI amoebas of today to AI T-Rex in 2040 or 2050.
Maybe even less.
Maybe even less.
We're talking about, I don't think our brains are organized properly to really comprehend the accelerated speed at which this is self-learning and iterating and improving upon itself. Like this, it's a compounding thing that is astronomical.
So it's in a way, it's the biggest social experiment in human history. We are all part of it, and nobody has any idea how it will develop. But if the humans are divided among themselves and are in an arms race, then it becomes almost impossible to contain this alien intelligence. And there is, I'm tending to think of it more in terms of really an alien invasion. That like somebody coming and telling us that, you know, there is a fleet, an alien fleet of spaceships coming from planet Zircon or whatever, with highly intelligent beings. They'll be here in 5 years and take over the planet. Maybe they'll be nice. Maybe they'll solve cancer and climate change, but we are not sure. This is what we are facing, except that the aliens are not coming in spaceships from planet Zircon, they're coming from the laboratory.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, saith the Lord, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. He which testifieth these things saith, surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Lord Jesus.
Yep. Oh, what did you think about that? What did you think about that? Well, I just had a little bite to eat here. So while I was sitting here watching this with you guys, what did you think? Is that crazy? Tell me we're not in the last days. Right?
Look into a mirror right now.
Whoops. Look into a mirror, huh? So this is it. This is the time. Well, anyway. Some of these things I'm just... Well, I'm guessing that we're pretty much gone through a lot of the information I wanted to go through with you guys. Let me get a little feedback from you guys on the chat here. Tell me what you guys think. Just kind of curious. What's your thoughts on all this? I know. I had to eat. I didn't eat all day. So I was like, I was so hungry. I had to go eat. Better read? Rose Reed? Is that what you said? Better read? He told that he wanted to make people to be enslaved by AI. Yeah. Yuval Harari is a gay man. And he really hates the God of the Bible. You can tell by a lot of what he says. And he's enamored with the technology, but he understands the dangers as well. And I think he understands that this is not going to fare well for anybody, as well as a lot of the tech giants. They all know. They know. That's why they're burying themselves in deep underground, in caves and in holes in the ground, the Bible says they would do. I think we're seeing these things unfold right now, Cody. I think that these are starting to happen right before our eyes right now. I don't think it's in a year. I think it's happening right now. You know, as Klaus Schwab had said before he left his post, and he's getting old. I think he's probably going to die out here pretty soon, but he says, this isn't coming like little ripples over the ocean. It's coming like a tsunami. It's coming and it's here now. Didn't that sound like Klaus Schwab? It's happening right now. It ain't coming like little ripples. And you're talking about a tsunami? There ain't nothing going to stop a tsunami, especially if it's a big one. Rapunzel, it was blocked? Really? How could you get a comment blocked? Now, why would that be? Anyways, guys, I wanted to just thank you all for being here. I know we've gone long. We're already at 3 hours. I need to cut this stream, but God bless all of you for being here with me and looking at this information in depth. And I pray that you get up to speed as well as what we're trying to do, research as much as we can to get to the depths of what's really going on. And really, it's all about the heart and your ability to perceive that information in the correct light without being caught up into it. You know, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is like a portal. You don't want to go through that portal because you'll get sucked in. It's like a black hole. Elon Musk said it very clearly. It's the event horizon, and if you go over, you will fall into the singularity. And that's not what we want. We don't want singularity. We want to be sanctified and set apart and filled with the Holy Spirit. That's the difference between singularity and the world's way of becoming almighty and all-powerful and the Christian's worldview and the way God calls us to be, one with him, right? How many of you guys want to be one with the Lord? Type 1 if you want to be one with the Lord. Type 2 if you love singularity and you're into AI. Type 2 so we know who you are. We can mark you. The Bible says to mark those. Mark those. I've marked a few people already that I know. I've got a couple marks on a few people. So make sure you mark those who are contrary to this message. God bless. The Lord be with you. In Jesus' name, amen. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Hey guys, Robert here. Just wanted to let you know that the new BP News app is now available for download at the Apple and Android stores. Don't miss out on important news. If you want to stay informed in this high-paced world, we created this app just for you. The BP News channel cuts through the noise and delivers the news that you care about exactly when it happens. Instant alerts, right directly sent to your phone in push notification, so that you know what's happening in your world. 5-star rated. Join the BP News app now. Don't get left behind. Stop waiting for the news and get alerted.